He has popped the cork, but he has not sipped the champagne. Three times John Elway has taken the Broncos to the Super Bowl. But last January, a crushing defeat by the 49ers juggernaut left John Elway winless after 3 Super Bowl appearances. The Broncos lost, and they lost big.
After being humiliated the 3rd time, I think the fire had always been lit, but I think that kind of threw a couple gallons of gasoline on that fire and said, hey, we've lost 3, I've lost 3 now, and I just want to, I win 1, and I'll cancel those last 3.
The mission to win a Super Bowl renewed again in 1990, but so far this year has been less than vintage. They've won 2, lost 2, stumbling through their victories, unpredictable in their losses, lacking the consistency needed to carry them into the playoffs and back to the Super Bowl.
We know we're a good football team. It's just a matter of us eliminate some of the turnovers that we've had and some of the mistakes and getting to the point to where we're playing up to our capability as a football team.
The Cleveland Browns meet the Denver Broncos in a rematch of the AFC Championship on ABC's Monday Night Football. Denver, Colorado, a beautiful sight tonight. Snow has fallen over the past 24 hours, and it's a cool, crisp Rocky Mountain evening as we move inside Mile High Stadium, where the Cleveland Browns will meet the Denver Broncos in a rematch of the AFC Championship game from last season. Hello again, everyone. I'm Frank Gifford, along with Al Michaels and Dan Deerdorf. Happy you're with us to close out this long NFL weekend. And the Denver Broncos and the Cleveland Browns will tee it up one more time. Of course, they have met for 3 out of the last 4 AFC Championship games. Denver winning all of them and losing, of course, big in Super Bowls 21, 22, and 24. But tonight, the backdrop is dramatically different. The Broncos are 2-2 in the AFC Western Division. The Raiders are 4-1. The Broncos could stay 1 game behind the Raiders with a win tonight, but they have not played well. They would like to win big, and they've been unable to do that thus far. They might be able to pull it off tonight, however, because while the Cleveland Browns will tell you they are not desperate, they are in a desperate situation. They have lost their last 3 games. Last week, they lost 34-0 to the Kansas City Chiefs. The worst shutout loss in the 41-year history of this franchise. They are not happy. They've been hurt by retirements, by holdouts, and by injuries. And Al Michaels, if you put that all together, what it really has created for the Cleveland Browns, a lot of rumors flying around. One of them I think we can dispel as we kick off this game this evening. That has to do with head coach Bud Carson.
Well, Frank, we met with Bud Carson last night, and he angrily and very vehemently denied a report on NBC's pregame show yesterday that he had thought about stepping down after last week's debacle in Kansas City. And then he snorted as if to add emphasis. He said, I'd commit suicide before I would quit. Well, that may be overstating it, but there's no overstating the problems that this team has. The season began innocently enough. They beat Pittsburgh on opening day. And then in Game 2, Eric Metcalf ran the opening kickoff back for a touchdown against the Jets. But then the roof caved in. They lost to New York. They were beaten by San Diego at home. And then the debacle last week, and to add insult to injury, the Chiefs, as you know, are coached by Marty Schottenheimer, who in effect was fired after the '88 season by Cleveland. So it's an important game for the Browns tonight. If they don't look good, if they look at all like they did last week, it will be a very long season in Cleveland. The Browns clearly, Dan, want to forget about last week, and so do the Broncos. They had a victory in hand, and then, as the old saying goes, they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory.
Neither one of these teams turned in a very strong special team performance last week, Al. Cleveland had a couple of punts blocked. Denver, well, they had field goals blocked. The one got Buffalo rolling in that 77-second spree where they turned the game around. I think it's safe to say it was a long week here in Denver with Dan Reeves and his club working on special teams. The Broncos have a lot going for them, not the least of which is being here at home. Over the last 8 years, they have the best home record of any team in the National Football League. Offensively, John Elway, as everyone knows, really deals a fit to anyone he plays. But tonight, especially, I think Cleveland has a problem up front matching up with Elway as far as speed is concerned. Watch for that during the course of the game. But the most dominant player on the field tonight is Bobby Humphrey, the NFL's leading rusher. He's the guy that can control a game, and Denver's looking for him to do so tonight.
And he did a very good job of controlling last week's game with 177 yards on the ground. He leads the league in rushing as we finish week 5 of the 1990 season. Bernie Kosar has been on his back officially 14 times. He's been sacked 14 times this season, and he has been knocked down, a statistic that's not officially kept, but nonetheless, your body pays the price on at least 14 other occasions. We had some snow in Denver last night and early this morning, but the snow for the most part has melted. The temperature is 37 degrees, light breeze, pleasant humidity. Forecast clearing, no snow in the forecast tonight. And as usual, as has been the case for 20 years now, a sellout crowd at Mile High Stadium. For the Browns, Brian Wagner will be kicking off, the Broncos to receive. The Broncos have had the Browns number through the years. Cleveland has not won a game in the stadium since 1972. Sammy Winder is back along with Vance Johnson for the Broncos. Alton Montgomery, the rookie, has been running back kicks, but he's hurt. And so Johnson is back there along with Winder. And it's in Vance's direction. He takes it at the 2-yard line and then stumbles. A flag goes down as he goes down at the 19-yard line. So a penalty on the run back. The referee tonight is Dale Hamer. And his mic is not open, but the penalty is against the Denver Broncos. So Dan Reeves, and you'll remember during training camp this year, Reeves with a heart problem, had his arteries cleared, missed a week, and then came back, and John Elway guiding the team. Elway had his best camp and has played decently this year. With Humphrey, who's been terrific. Steve Sewell's a little banged up, the utility back. Johnson and Jackson are the wide receivers. Kay is the tight end. Gerald Perry does not start tonight at left tackle. He's hurt. It's Darrell Hamilton getting the start. And they begin with 3 tight ends. That's Mobley in the backfield with Humphrey, and Humphrey can't get out of the backfield as Mike Johnson is there to wrap him up back at the 6-yard line. Now the Cleveland defense. The Browns going with a 4-man line. The veteran Bubba Baker with Chris Pike. Michael Dean Perry, the Fridges brother, has turned into a terrific defensive lineman. Matthews and Johnson were holdouts in camp, so they got late starts. Blaylock and Raymond Claiborne, the longtime Patriot, with Wright and Gash, the safeties. And Frank Minifield did sign. There he is. He signed last week, and he will play in nickel situations. They have activated him for the game. 2nd and 13 from the 6 as Elway on a little roll throws, and the catch is made by Vance Johnson, who gets tumbled out of bounds at the 14-yard line, and the crowd thought it was a late hit, but there's no flag. Thane Gash was there, and Gash, a la Ronnie Lott, a la Steve Atwater of Denver, a very hard hitter.
Well, you'll see some hitting tonight. You left out another one, too, with Dennis Smith, the other safety, as we watch Gash come up. But Atwater and Dennis Smith and Thane Gash, they play that safety position almost like a linebacker, and you got a quick glimpse of it right there.
I think the crowd has a good reason to moan. That hit was a good 2 yards out of bounds.
3rd and 5 at the 13-yard line. Browns with a 4-man rush. Elway has time and completes it for a first down to Vance Johnson up at the 24-yard line. Stopped by Stephen Braggs, and so Johnson, the last time we saw him on Monday night, he made that critical 4th down reception to set up the win against Kansas City, has already caught 2 balls.
Well, there's pass protection that Bernie Kosar must be envious of. John Elway had plenty of time, a crossing pattern. Vance Johnson comes all the way across the formation, and it takes no one in a quarterback's face to set that kind of a pattern up. Good job up front by the guys in orange.
1st and 10 Broncos out at the 24-yard line. Elway protected well again, and this is Mark Jackson making the catch at the 32-yard line for a pickup of close to 8. Ray Claiborne on the coverage.
And again, Elway with a lot of time. Good protection. That was a deep out by Mark Jackson, and Jackson just turned on a quick look for speed and then broke to the outside. Look at that protection. Now that pass, a deep out like that, takes a lot of time to get off, and no one even close to John Elway. And of course, that is reflected in the number of sacks on the part of these Cleveland Browns. They've only had 8 in 4 games, and that won't get it done. 2nd and a short 2 up at the 33.
And the Browns jump. Contact is made. The play is whistled dead. It was Chris Pike coming across the line for Cleveland.
I don't know that any broadcasting crew that's ever been to Mile High Stadium doesn't spend time talking about John Elway and his ability to draw a defensive line off sides. He has a cadence and a hard count that if you are the least bit itchy on the defensive line, he will get you across. You can see number 75, Chris Pike, the defensive tackle, was across the line of scrimmage, and a big guy, 6'8", 300 pounds, trying to get a head start to chase number 7. But Elway is good for 2 or 3 offsides a game. Look at the head movement.
And it's more effective too, Dan, when you have not been getting a good pass rush. You're trying harder. You're trying to get a jump on the count, and consequently the offside.
Mobley almost jumped as well, the tight end for Denver. From the 38-yard line, Elway with the hot hand, and the open receivers hits Ricky Nattil. And that's a first down at the Cleveland 46-yard line as Nattil comes back from surgery. Had a broken kneecap last year, and they didn't know how he would respond this year, but he played well last week at Buffalo and makes the catch here tonight.
One of the rare zone defenses you find this Cleveland Brown team in. They like to play man-to-man under Bud Carson. That time they went to the zone, and a good read by Nattil, a good read by Elway, broke it to the outside, and Elway, doing what he does best, does it on the run.
Well, Bud Carson's got to make a decision now, and that's how does he get to John Elway. They're going to have to gamble and blitz. Either that or somebody in the front four is going to have to make a big play.
And to keep them honest, here's Humphrey inside the 30, and the league's leading rusher is out of bounds at the 21-yard line.
Beautiful call, Frank. Beautiful call.
Then what we've been saying, no pressure on Elway, and of course they're getting the word from the bench, we got to get to him. They're saying to themselves, we got to get to Elway. So consequently, you give up your normal pass rushing routes. You go for the inside, go for the outside, and you set yourself up for the draw.
Jim Juriga there, the left guard at the line of scrimmage, turns Michael Dean Perry to the inside, but then, boy, look at Bobby Humphrey. His movement in the open field ends up being boxed out by Raymond Claiborne, but boy, what a fine call.
First down, Denver at the 21-yard line. The fake to Humphrey, the pass to Bratton, and Bratton is run out of bounds by Thane Gash after a pickup of 5. So this drive, which began at the 9, is now down at the Cleveland 16 with 11:03 to go in the first quarter.
And what a pretty drive it's been. Bratton had a difficult time getting the handle on this one. It was maybe thrown a little too perfectly right in the hands, and maybe thinking about running before he put it away, but he does collect it and gets good yardage out of it.
Elway is a perfect 5 for 5 for 48 yards on this drive. 2nd and 5 at the 16. Humphrey to about the 13. That's going to set up a 3rd and 2. Mike Johnson, the middle linebacker, makes the tackle, number 59.
When Denver's running the football, you don't have to worry about where it's going to be. Coming into tonight's game, he had carried the ball 89 times, and the next closest to him in carrying the football was John Elway. He had carried 13 times. The other backs, Bratton and Sewell, had carried it 7 and 8 times respectively. So you don't have to worry about who's going to handle it on the running. And why not? 177 yards last week. But it says an awful lot for the development of that young offensive line of the Broncos.
Well, meanwhile, here's a 3rd and 2 and a situation the Broncos are moving nearly at will, and yet they can't come up with the right play and have to spend a timeout with 10:07 to go in the first quarter. Cleveland says thank you. At its own 8-yard line, they've already moved 79 yards on the opening drive of the game. It is 3rd down and 2 after they take this timeout. And the Broncos now at the 13-yard line have Michael Young and Mark Jackson split to the left. Sewell alongside Elway in the backfield, and Vance Johnson split to the right. And Elway on a quarterback draw. First down and a touchdown.
Oh, that's why they took time out, I guess. They wanted to draw that up. I think that might have come down from the press box, Dan.
When you are playing a team with a confidence problem, this is how you hurt it. This is how you hurt that ball club. You take the drive from your own 8-yard line. Watch the left side of the line. Juriga and Gerald Perry pull, come up on the trap, and here comes you know who. If it's not enough that he's blessed with a great arm, he has wonderful running abilities as well.
And a nice, too, they'll let him do it, isn't it? They have a great deal of confidence in his athletic ability, his durability, and obviously this came in from the sidelines. Watch Darrell Hamilton. He's filling in for an injured Gerald Perry, number 69. Big block for Elway, and he rumbles into the end zone. Terrific drive.
What do you think? Here's a better idea.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome to the Bermuda Triangle.
No wonder nobody ever comes back.
This is the kind of weather a Ford truck was made for, outside and in. Inside, a Ford truck is surprisingly comfortable and spacious. The perfect port in all kinds of weather. Ford trucks, the best ever rest. Because to be the best-selling truck in America, you have to be more than tough. Ford trucks, the best ever rest. The best-built, best-selling American trucks are built Ford Tough.
Hey, guys, is that who I think it is?
No, he's taller than that.
He's sitting down.
What's he eating? I don't know, it looks like a Big Mac.
Hey, guys, it's not him.
What's he doing at McDonald's?
He probably has his own. He is Michael Jordan.
We know it's Michael
Come on,
Jordan. Go ahead, say
Come on,
something.
you can do it. Yes, us. Yes. Where did he go?
Looking for someone? I saw you peeking on.
Are you Michael Jordan?
No.
See, I told you guys.
Maxwell's kick is taken by Metcalf for Cleveland, and from the 10 he brings it back out to the 24-yard line. So the Browns, who just watched the Broncos march 92 yards at will, try to counter with Bernie Kosar, who has spent much of the past 4 weeks on his back. Just one touchdown pass in the first 4 games, and he's been sacked on 14 occasions. Leroy Horde, the rookie out of Michigan, with Kevin Mack, starts in the backfield. Slaughter and Langhorne, the wideouts. The longtime veteran tight end in Newsom. And the offensive line has been the major problem for Cleveland. At the 24-yard line on first down, they begin on the ground, and this is Horde going basically nowhere. He is stopped by 91, Warren Powers. Now the Broncos, in their second year under defensive coordinator Wade Phillips, who did such a great job last year, Powers, Cragen, and Szymanski, the rookie, the 3 linemen, Fletcher, Munford, Brooks, who was outside last year, and Mecklenburg, who was inside last year, flip-flop. Elliott Smith and Wyman Henderson, the corners. Dennis Smith and Steve Atwater, the safeties. Tyrone Braxton is out for the year. On 2nd and 9, this is Metcalf, able to turn the corner and then met head-on at the 29 by Elliott Smith in his second year out of Alcorn State. And he's a guy that if they're going to pick on anybody in that secondary, he's the man because he's taking Braxton's spot.
You're used to Dennis Smith and Steve Atwater hammering running backs, but that time a good shot by Elliott Smith. As you said, Al is filling some pretty big shoes. Braxton had a big year last year and out for the season with an injured knee.
On 3rd and 5, Cleveland's first play from the shotgun. And Kosar's first pass is a completion to Slaughter, who gets dumped by Wyman Henderson out at the 37-yard line after the pickup for a first down for Cleveland.
And I think that play just shows that Bernie Kosar is like any other quarterback in this league. If he's got the protection, he'll deliver the football. A perfectly thrown strike that time to Slaughter, and Bernie Kosar enjoyed, for one of the rare occasions this season, some good pass protection.
1st and 10 from the 37. Kosar flushed out and then has to throw it away. Intended for Reggie Langhorne. One of the big stories, of course, for the Cleveland Browns, Dan, is that offensive line, and that's not unusual. We had them in Canton in the Hall of Fame game. We were talking about the same thing.
Yeah, here's a look at last year's line as they close the season. Farron, Banker, Rakosi, Fike, and Risen. You can see Risen is gone. He's a minister now. Dan Fike will be back. He's hurt. Rakosi is now over at guard, making his first start. Ted Banker's on injured reserve. And Paul Farron, the only one of that group that's still playing the right position.
This is Kevin Mack on second down, and he takes it out to the 41-yard line. Carl Mecklenburg makes the stop. It'll be 3rd and 6.
Now here's the group that starts tonight. There's Farron, the only returning guy. Rakosi making his first start at guard, as is Ralph Tam at left guard. Mike Babb, a longtime starter here with Cleveland, is back. And Tony Jones, only 3 starts last year. Continuity may be more important on the offensive line than any other group on a football team, and it takes a long time to develop.
3rd and 6. Not only does it hurt their pass protection, their running game as well, as they average 2.9 yards a carry. And this catch is made by Brian Brennan, and the question is, did he get the first down? Brennan, a very crafty possession receiver, went out to the 47 and does have it. He saw where the marker was, made the catch at that spot, and keeps the drive going.
And again, Kozar this time with protection. I agree, Dan. You give Bernie Kozar the time, that's when he can do what he does best, and that is read a defense. He's got to have time to be at his ultimate, to look around, change receivers, read the defense, realize a Brennan's going to be open, realize that a Slaughter's going to be there, but he has not thus far in this season had that much time to do what he does the very best, and that's read the defense.
First down from the 47-yard line. The fake to Mack on an end around. Webster Slaughter has room. He's to the Denver 40 and to the 35-yard line. So an impressive opening drive for the Cleveland Browns. He's run down by Atwater.
These plays always come about from looking at the videotapes. The Denver Broncos are a tough pursuing defensive team. And, of course, they have picked this up, and they give you the little play action up the middle, and everybody closes down on it. Slaughter gets to the outside and gets the good yardage.
Boy, some key blocks out front. Tony Jones, especially the right tackle, came out and dropped Simon Fletcher. Mere words can't state the importance of this drive to Cleveland, especially from a confidence factor.
That's only the second rush of Slaughter's career. He was drafted in '86. Here's Mack, and he is stood up at the line of scrimmage by Greg Cragen and Warren Powers. We have 5:55 to go. First quarter at Mile High. If you're just tuning in, Denver took the opening kickoff, drove 92 for a touchdown, and this is Cleveland's response. Meanwhile, Saturday on ABC's College Football, Michigan, now #1 in the country, at home against Michigan State. Or on the West Coast, USC against Stanford, 3:30 Eastern and 12:30 Pacific. Who was that who was laughing over there?
As it should be. Of course, Stanford with that colossal win over Notre Dame.
And wait till SC gets Michigan in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've danced to that tune before.
2nd and 10 from the 35-yard line.
Look out.
Kozar sidearms it, and the catch is made at the 23-yard line by Reggie Langhorne. Kozar again paid the price. Michael Brooks decked him, but the completion nets another first down.
Well, you touched on something earlier, Al. You talked about the 21 times he's been knocked down. He doesn't even count for the times he's been bumped. Look at the top of your screen, number 56. Coming on the blitz, they stack it up to the right. They can't pick them all up. Kozar is able to get it to the receiver. I'll tell you, you got to admire his guts. He knew he was going to get pounded, yet he was able to get it there.
Yeah, they bring the strong safety, Dennis Smith, and the back, Mack, has to pick him up. That leaves Brooks all alone.
First down, Cleveland at the Denver 23. Newsome in motion. Off the fake. Kozar with time. Hits Slaughter inside the 20. And he gets to the 18 as they make a little something out of nothing. A 5-yard pickup. Elliott Smith makes the stop. 4:12 to go in the first quarter. Broncos on top. 7-0. Cleveland, by the way, has not scored in over 6 quarters. Shut out last week and shut out in the second half against San Diego at home 2 weeks ago. Second and 5. Here's Kevin Mack, and he plows forward to the 15. It's going to be 3rd and 2. Mark Munford, the inside linebacker, makes the tackle.
One of the problems for Bud Carson this season has been the fact that his two big backs, and he believes in a big back possession offense and a strong defense. Don't make mistakes on offense. Let your defense win it for you. But Kevin Max had a broken ring finger in the opening game against Pittsburgh. He missed the next game, and his other big back, Leroy Horde, the Cleveland Browns' first choice in the second round, also had a broken bone in his hand. So they've never been able to get them together until just last week, and tonight perhaps for the first time at 100%.
Third and a long 2 from the 16-yard line. And they split Metcalf to the top of the screen, and Kozar has to take a timeout. The play clock was down to 1 second, and Bernie looked up, saw it at 1, and has to take a timeout. So the Browns take a timeout at the same relative spot the Broncos took a timeout on a 3rd and short.
I bet we won't see a quarterback draw when he comes back, though.
No way. But you never know.
For most passing attempts in one game with 60. But who holds the record for most yards passing in one Monday night game? Dan Fouts of the Chargers? Ken Anderson of the Bengals? Or Joe Namath of the Jets? Which would you choose?
6:15, good morning.
Patterson at 9, Williams at 11. Then the Walton presentation. What a day. Hi, Mike Smith to see Mr. Patterson.
Mr. Patterson's tied up, but he'd like you to wait.
There goes my schedule.
I'm glad you called. The Walton specs have changed.
We have to talk with the suppliers in England.
Okay. Your conference call is ready, sir.
When you're on the road, nobody has more ways to help you than
Hi.
AT&T.
I hope I haven't upset your schedule.
No problem.
AT&T, how can we help you?
In a 1975 game versus the Bills, Ken Anderson passed for 447 yards. If you said Anderson, you made the right choice.
This drive started at the Cleveland 24-yard line. The Browns, though, have not been able to cash in this season. On only 5 of 13 drives, when they've gotten inside the opponent's 40, have they scored. 3 TDs and 2 field goals. So they have been bogging down all season. It will be 3rd and a long 2.
Kozar complaining about the noise, and it does get noise here at Mile High Stadium.
I think he wanted
a
the
new
football.
ball. Oh, that was it. Well, now he'll complain about the noise.
Yeah, Bernie didn't like the football. It might have been wet.
Browns have one of the best silent counts in the game. Bernie is good at operating it.
3rd and a long 2 from the 16. They send Slaughter in motion. And Kozar completes it to the 10-yard line to Ozzie Newsome, who decided to retire at the end of last season and then reconsidered. A guy in his 13th year, and next stop will be Canton.
Needs only 4 more now to replace Charlie Taylor as the 4th all-time leading receiver in this game.
And, of course, more receptions than anyone who ever played the tight end position. In fact, several hundred more receptions than his closest competitor.
1st and goal, just inside the 10-yard line. It's Newsome in motion. Kevin Mack to the 4-yard line. Stopped by Dennis Smith. It'll be 2nd and goal with a few ticks more than 2 minutes to go in the quarter.
Well, Frank alluded to earlier about how the Browns love a big back attack. Well, this is why. When a big back hits the pile continues to move forward. And look at Kevin Mack here. After his first contact by a Denver Bronco, goes ahead and picks up at least another 4 or 5 yards. We see a hand on his face mask there at the top of the screen. No flag.
2nd and goal just inside the 5. Newsome now sets up on the right side as they operate out of the eye. They break the eye with Mack in motion. And it's a flip to Metcalf. Inside the 5, touchdown Cleveland.
Boy, give an assist to Kevin Mack.
You better believe it.
What a lead block.
They sent him in motion, Mack, and he worked on the cornerback, Henderson, and that didn't knock him down, but he screened him out of it, and an easy 6-point for Eric Metcalf on the little flare.
Boy, beautifully designed play.
And that is Cleveland's first score in the equivalent of 7 quarters.
Here's Metcalf now. Mack is out in front of it. You recall he went in motion. Now he breaks it behind the block of Mack. Takes it to the outside. An easy 6 points for Metcalf.
Yeah, Eric Metcalf wishes they were all that easy.
Jerry Corrick, the Canadian, has that kick blocked.
Boy, the Browns now for the 2nd week in a row self-destruct on special teams.
I wonder if that could have been wet. He looked like he just hooked that.
Well, it looked like somebody got a hand on the ball. It might have been Steve Atwater.
Well, somebody touched it, but I mean, he had that thing drilled very low.
Here it is from ground level behind. Let's see who gets a hand on it. There's Atwater. Actually, it was someone in front of Atwater. Atwater didn't get a piece of it. We'll check it when we come back.
Actually get to that extra point and how it was blocked off the foot of Jerry Korak. It's 7-6 Denver as Wagner kicks off. Fielded a yard into the end zone by Vance Johnson, who has room. He's out past the 30, and a good run back by the man who calls himself the Vance, all the way out to the 38-yard line.
Let's go back to the extra point. Watch this area right here. It's going to be the hand of Carl Mecklenburg. But watch, there's no penetration up front. Really a good job up front of blocking by the Browns. There's the block right there. It hits the right hand of Mecklenburg. So what that means is that's a low kick by Korak. That is a low kick when people don't get penetration and are able to block an extra point merely by leaping up into the air. And Carl Mecklenburg, just another in a long list of big plays for the Denver Broncos.
There was a penalty on the run back, and the penalty is against Cleveland.
They have a personal foul, number 15 on the return, 15-yard penalty, first down.
2 penalties against Cleveland. The first was offside, which was declined. The run back came out to the 38, and they'll tack on 15 more.
Well, they're going to say Wagner hit Johnson when Johnson was out of bounds. He threw himself into Vance's legs, and the referee ruled that the hit came well out of bounds.
It isn't often you get the punter in on something like this.
A personal foul. But he's right.
He might have been trying to avoid it.
Vance Johnson was well out of bounds. The play was over, and Wagner threw himself into his legs. You're right. It's not often a punter can hang a personal foul medal on his chest. This one, though, hurts the Browns.
First down, Denver at the Cleveland 47. 1:18 to go in the quarter. Broncos lead by a point. Elway to his safety valve, Humphrey. And Humphrey is ridden out at the 39, about a yard shy of the first down. Van Waiters makes the tackle. Bobby Humphrey, I mean, he has lapped the field in essence because he's played one fewer game than almost anybody else in the league. And still, even through the games of yesterday, he was the leading rusher in the league coming into tonight's game.
And if I'm the Browns and their defensive team, I pay a little more attention to Bobby Humphrey, even if he's just flaring out of the backfield, Frank.
Well, he's only caught 3 receptions coming into tonight, and consequently, I think that's probably why they laid off him a little bit. But after that one, he'll draw a little more attention, I can assure you.
2nd and 1. Humphrey on the ground, picks up the first down. He's inside the 30, breaks the tackle, takes it to the 18, loses the football, but they're marking it down at the 18-yard line. Denver ball. Mike Johnson makes the stop.
Well, of the 3 officials who were spotting the play, 1 out of the 3 marked it down, fortunately for the Denver Broncos.
That was very close.
Yeah, let's watch this one right here. There's Mike Johnson, who comes in from behind and grabs the football. Boy, that's extremely close. You could see that Humphrey started to lose control of the football while he was still up on his feet. And there's the guy who made the hit and stripped the ball, Mike Johnson, who's limping off the field. It doesn't look to be too serious, but it's easy to play doctor from up here. Let's try it from the reverse angle from the far side of the field.
It was intense until Johnson tried to strip it a la Lawrence Taylor, put the arm around him and tried to rip the ball out, and he was successful.
That's very close. You can see why. You could argue that either way, why the official made the call and why one of the other officials didn't make a call.
And there's no review. Meanwhile,
that's the end of the quarter.
That is the end of the first 15-minute session.
And I don't think either team had their defensive team show up. This has been all offense.
Yet. We go to the second quarter, 7-6. The Broncos by a point. We'll return with Monday Night Football after this commercial message and a word from our ABC stations. Start the second quarter. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, and Dan Deerdorf in Denver. Broncos have it 1st and 10 at the Cleveland 19. Denver leads 7-6. Mark Jackson in motion. And here's Bobby Humphrey only picking up one. He is stopped by Van Waiters. And we've got a skirmish.
Bane Gash, one of the guys right in there. He appeared to throw a pretty nice right uppercut, and now we've got another one.
Keith Karts, Chris Pike.
Well, you just don't grab a guy's face mask. That's looked like Karts had Chris Pike by the face mask. And I don't see any yellows on the ground.
Yeah. If you do, it's one of those offsetting jobs anyway.
Well, I don't see anything. This looked like a freebie for the players. The rarefied atmosphere of Mile High Stadium.
Oh, kind of silly, isn't it?
Blood to boil.
How kind of silly, isn't it, when they keep their helmets on?
It was a 1-yard pickup. It is 2nd down and 9 at the 18-yard line. Elway is 6 for 6 for 56 yards. Flanked by Humphrey and Bratton in the gun, and making a move, Darrell Hamilton, and there's the flag. So the Browns get a big break when Hamilton moved, but then they give it back as Van Waiters comes charging in and buries Elway.
Yeah, when there's a false start like Hamilton made, the play is over. There is no play, so there's no free shot. A defensive player cannot come in and take a free shot. That's an incredibly dumb play by Van Waiters.
On the play. False start. Number 69. Penalty is declined. Personal foul. Number 50 to be accepted. 15 yards. First down.
That's the situation where a personal foul will override any other penalty. I mean, that's just not smart. Now, it was not a lethal blow. You can see the Waiters did not come in with the intention of decapitating John Elway.
In fact, he tried to catch him at the end.
Boy, that is a penalty that, first of all, Waiters should have never gotten anywhere near Elway, because you run the risk of that call.
And they do not offset.
Waiters has not had a sack in his career, so he was a little over anxious there.
Yeah,
you might say.
He still doesn't.
Quite an understatement.
Yep. 1st and goal from the 9. Opening minute, 2nd quarter. Jackson in motion. On a delay, Humphrey can't get started, though. He's run down from behind by Chris Pike. ABC's Monday Night Football is brought to you by Nissan, built for the human race, and by Bud Dry. Why ask why? Bud Dry, for refreshment that's beyond question.
If you're at home watching this play in the pit, take a look at Michael Dean Perry, the defensive tackle of the Cleveland Browns there, number 92. Watch how quickly he gets off the ball. You'll recognize him. He moves before anybody else.
2nd and goal. Jackson in motion again. Elway with time, and Elway hits Jackson, and he takes it to the 2, and it will be 3rd and goal.
Good pressure on Elway. Here's Jackson. Looks to the outside, now breaks it back, finds a little opening, and then dives forward for a couple of yards.
That's one of the problems when you play man-to-man, having to follow a guy all over the field. Let's watch Michael Dean working against Jim Jariga. Well, Jariga's doing a pretty nice job of grabbing him. In fact, he tried to grab him around the ankle and missed.
It is 3rd and goal. The umpire is signaling for time, which normally means a review.
Well, they might be trying to determine whether or not it was a catch. The ball was awful low to the ground.
Jack Fetty is the replay official. Umpire tonight is Al Conway, and that's Jack in the middle.
Why do I think Kenny Wolf, our producer, is going to give us another look?
Clock to 20 seconds. 20 seconds.
Well, now they're moving the clock up.
Jackson again breaking back. No problem with the catch.
Yeah.
Put it right into the chest and then squeeze out the extra couple of yards.
The only announcement that's been made was to set the play clock, which normally would be at 25 after a stoppage, to 20. Meanwhile, Elway's going to take advantage of this to go over to the bench.
And third down.
And they did review the play. The play stands. And now here we go on 3rd and goal. 3rd and goal from the 2.
Michael Dean, what a player. Pro Bowler, and he does nothing but get better every game.
4 of the team's 8 sacks already this season.
Bronx come up in a very tight formation with 3 tight ends and keep it on the ground, and they swing Humphrey to the outside, and he can't turn the corner. Tony Blaylock is there along with Mike Johnson.
Mike Johnson slipped in behind the pulling guard and prevented the cutback on the part of Humphrey. Thane Gash was up there.
The guy who really disrupts this play, though, is Al Baker. See number 60? Look how far upfield he got, forcing Humphrey to swing all the way to the outside and go parallel to the line of scrimmage. Tremendous upfield pressure that time by Al Bubba Baker.
David Treadwell, who won the Kansas City game with a last-second field goal and then beat Seattle in overtime. A 20-yard chip shot here out of the hold of Gary Kubiak. And the Broncos settle for 3. 12.5 to go in the half, and Denver now leads Cleveland 10-6.
The Nissan I want is the, was in those commercials. They drove it to South America, the Pathfinder. We'd load up the Pathfinder and, whoops, better get a 4-door, and go skiing every weekend. Or the Paris-Dakar Rally.
We could be the first family to race from Paris to Africa. Quit our jobs, pull the kids out of school.
Maybe not. From the Far East to Europe. Across the Caribbean and throughout North America. Only one airline covers so much of the world.
The temperature never drops below Xerex. That's important to remember at a time like this, when it's very dark and very cold. Ah, you did remember Xerex Antifreeze. The temperature never drops below Xerex.
The nation's #1 team, Michigan, hosts Michigan State. Or Stanford, fresh off their upset of Notre Dame, tackles Southern Cal. Saturday on ABC Sports.
Denver on top, 12 or 10-6 as the Broncos kick off. Treadwell puts it in the air. Metcalf from the goal line. And he is stopped at the 16-yard line. Well, we mentioned at the top, it's a big game for Denver, but a very critical game tonight for the Cleveland Browns. I think their whole season's going to turn on how they look, at least tonight.
A missed conversion, you factor that in throughout the entire game, but it was a good drive for him. I think this drive perhaps is almost as important as the one they had the first possession.
Yeah, and we'll get another look at the most scrutinized unit involving the Cleveland Browns, their offensive line, who performed very well in the first quarter. They gave Bernie everything he needed.
From the 11-yard line, here is Kevin Mack. And Mack bulls his way out to the 26-yard line. You know his story. Arrested and convicted on a drug charge. Spent time in prison last year. Had knee surgery as well. You go back to 1985. He and Ernest Biner each gained over 1,000 yards in one season for the Browns. So a man making a comeback, in effect, Kevin Mack.
Where has it gone, that offensive line? We showed you a little earlier, but it's not one of the more celebrated lines, not the big names that we're watching here tonight. They're young and very inexperienced, and that's been reflected in the first 4 games when the Browns 1-3.
Here's Mack again. Big hole, exploits it, and gets taken down by Atwater, and 3 flags come in.
And I think they might all be saying face mask.
Yep. 3 flags and 1 penalty at the 42, and they'll tack on a few more.
I think Steve Atwater's left hand might be the culprit. Great blocking up front by the Browns and their offensive line. But let's watch Steve Atwater here, number 27. Ooh, a good job. He got the left hand, and then the right is latched onto the helmet as well.
On the defense, he had it to the end of the run, first down.
And I think Steve Atwater got lucky here with this only being a 5-yard penalty, because there's the left and the right stays on the corner. That easily could have been the 15-yard variety. He got the inadvertent face mask penalty.
One of the rare times you will see Atwater even trying to make an arm tackle.
No, he likes
forced to in the part of Mac. He just likes to put his head and shoulder in there and bury him if he can.
He likes to make a face mask tackle, but with his own face mask.
From the 48-yard line, Leroy Horde is the sole setback. Michigan rookie gets the ball, and he gets stood up after a pickup of 2. Michael Brooks meets him head-on. And the 2 exchange pleasantries, and Atwater also had a say in the play as well.
You get a chance at halftime, hang around, and we have a special feature on Steve Atwater from a couple of weeks ago when the Kansas City Chiefs were here at Mile High Stadium on Monday night. We had him wired up for sound, and I think you'll find it very interesting, very unusual, and you'll get a feel of this game that maybe you've never had.
He was wired with more than sound.
Wasn't he? But he plays that way, very intense, and given credit for really being the principal reason this Denver defense has turned around.
Some of the best sounds I've ever heard. Really good stuff.
2nd and 8, play fake. Kozar still gets chased, and then he'll get flagged, or will he? The official took the flag out and then put it back and said, no, there truly was a receiver in the area, and Simon Fletcher, Ozzie Newsome, says the referee Dale Hamer, and so Fletcher will not get credit for what he thought was a sack.
Well, it sure looked to me like
give me a break.
Old Dale was grabbing for the flag and looked like he couldn't get it. Now, there is no doubt that Bernie did get the ball relatively close to Ozzie Newsome. I mean, he got it just a couple yards away.
Well, he made it look good.
It wouldn't have been a sack, but it would have been grounding.
Stanislavski going for him here. A little bit of acting. That's his alleged receiver, number 82.
Well, I give Bernie credit.
Yeah.
That's all Bernie Kozar. Great play.
And Bernie says, I throw sidearm anyway. On 3rd down, it's too deep over the middle, intended for Brian Brennan. That's about as deep as Brennan ever runs a pattern, and Kozar overshoots him.
And Brennan complaining a little bit that there was a hand in his face. He thought that Bruce Plummer was there, and but really you can't see that he was doing anything to keep Brennan from getting downfield. Pretty good defense that time by Denver.
Vance Johnson set to accept the kick from Brian Wagner. Johnson is at the 10.
A lot of people forget that Vance Johnson was a all-conference tailback at the University of Arizona. He can run the football as well as being a great receiver.
Good kick. Fair catch is called for and made by Johnson at the 9-yard line. And Elway and the Broncos will take over there after a 42-yard boot. 9:50 remaining in the first half. Broncos by 4.
Why does a man have to do what a man has to do?
2, 3, 4.
Try Bud Dry. Cold filtered for smooth draft taste. Dry brewed for no aftertaste. Refreshing proof that men still know what they're doing.
If I had a Z, it'd be silver. No, black. And I'd take it to a racetrack. Hold it. Nah, drive it cross country. That's what I'd do. Wait, Germany. Yeah, now that'd be epic. Running a Z flat out on the Autobahn. Too bad you can't drive to Europe.
This is great. Watch this. It's a test. These guys think that both of these are aquariums. Wrong. Actually, one of them is a Hitachi big screen TV. Thanks to Ultravision with its ultra clear, ultra bright, ultra sharp picture. They don't have a clue which is which. Okay, time's up. It's this one. Hey, where are you going? You're going to miss the commercial. Ultravision, only from Hitachi.
We'd like to give you an idea of the company that Bobby Humphrey is keeping. Those men all gained at least 1,600 yards rushing in their first 20 games. In other words, at the outset of their career, they averaged better than 80 yards per game, and some pretty good names up there. Brown and
that's
Campbell,
pretty classy company, isn't
Dickerson,
it?
Yep. So
Again, quite a
just 10 of
tribute
them.
to the turnaround of this offensive line for Denver.
They begin this drive at the 9. Broncos have already had a 92-yard drive tonight. They lead by 4. And here's Humphrey. And Humphrey fumbles. It's a live ball at the 5-yard line.
Oh, boy. The Browns had a great shot at it, and Denver got it back.
At the 5-yard line, it's Keith Karch at the bottom of the pile. The center, number 72. So he starts the play and ends it.
What a break that could have been for the Cleveland Browns. As you'll often see, it's the second effort that a back makes that more times than not ends up being the fumble. You'll see it all the time. A back just tries to make something happen. That was the case there. Humphrey loses the ball.
That's Spain Gash. He had a great shot at it.
Yep.
There it is, loose. Hits it with his knee. Scramble is on. Karch gets it.
2nd and 15 from the 5. Elway throws out of the end zone, and that's an incomplete pass at Humphrey's feet. It'll be 3rd down and 15. 8:56 remaining in the first half, and that's Elway's first incompletion of the game. Averaging 8 yards per attempt coming into the game tonight. He was averaging 7.27.
Menefield on the field now for the Cleveland Browns as the Browns go into their nickel defense. There he is, bottom of your screen, number 31. A long-time holdout.
3rd and 15. They keep it on the ground, and it is Humphrey who is taken out of bounds at about the 11-yard line. Stopped by Rose, and the Broncos will have to kick, but they're fortunate in that they didn't lose that Humphrey fumble. Next Monday, a week from tonight, we will go to Veterans Stadium, and two teams really in desperate need of a victory. The Vikings now 1-4 after yesterday's defeat at the hands of Detroit. The Eagles had a bye. They're 1-3 at the Vet, 9 o'clock Eastern. Vikings Eagles next week.
The loser of that game is in bad shape.
So Moran takes the high snap and gets the kick away. It's fielded by Stephon Adams at the 48, and the former Raider takes it to the 43-yard line. And so the Browns will take over in pretty good shape after a 36-yard punt and a 5-yard run back and a Ty Allard tackle. 8:26 left in the half.
IBM presents You Make the Call. Greg Montgomery of the Oilers has his punt blocked by a charging Charger so that the flight of the ball carries it directly over the goal line pylon. Now you make the call. Is this a touchback, a safety, or out of bounds at or inside the 1?
Creating documents with some computers happens one step at a time. But an IBM PS2 with microchannel, on the other hand, can position headline and text, create stunning graphics, revise charts, receive photos, all at the same time. So a PS2 gets the job done in no time, instead of dragging along. For impressive documents, how are you going to do it? PS2 it.
What call did you make? Since the goal line pylon is considered to be out of bounds in the end zone, this is a safety and 2 points for the Chargers.
The Nissan I-1 is the, was in those commercials. They drove it to...
Carl Mecklenburg out of Minnesota.
He's had to take up a lot of slack. Alfonso Carricker is gone for the season, a defensive end of one size. Ron Holmes, the other defensive end, out with a bruised tailbone. So Carl Mecklenburg is the key man of the Broncos pass rush.
Cleveland drive begins with the Denver 43. Denver leads by 4. A little flea flicker, and Bernie Kosar is going deep, and Slaughter for a touchdown. Webster Slaughter. "43-yard touchdown, and Bud Carson's team is out in front."
And you can't say anything about Denver being in the wrong coverage. I mean, Webster Slaughter just splits two Denver defensive backs. Steve Atwater, one of the guys there.
What a beautifully thrown pass by Kozar, right in stride.
Beats Atwater, beats Elliott Smith. Boy, that play beautifully designed and executed.
Jerry Torek for the point after this time, and this time it is perfect. After he'd had the other one blocked, and Cleveland is up by 3.
The two Denver safeties, Atwater and Dennis Smith, have a reputation for climbing all over a running play. They fake the run to Metcalf, the toss back to Kozar, and that's what they practiced all week.
Next Monday night on ABC Sports.
Offensive coordinator for the Browns, Jim Schaffner, has to be a little happier than he's been in a couple of weeks. His team is up by 3, and the kickoff is taken by Sammy Winder and downed in the end zone. So Wagner's boot pins Denver at its 20.
Jim Schaffner was in such bad shape, the only guy he could call was Joe Walton. It's about the only phone call that those two could commiserate with each other. Not a bad drive, huh?
Yeah.
Offensive coordinators don't hang around here too long, do they?
Boy, they really chewed up the clock with that one. 7 seconds.
Well, as we said, the Browns had gone the equivalent of 7 quarters without scoring a point. And they've been into the end zone twice tonight. Meanwhile, the Broncos have given up a lead in every game this season.
They've been in the end zone twice on 2 beautifully executed pass plays.
Elway on first down, off the fake to Humphrey, hits Mark Jackson, and he had enough with progress for a first down up at the 33-yard line. He's wrapped back by Blaylock and Matthews. John Elway, a long and distinguished career. We asked him to reflect back on his first game.
Yeah, and I can, and it was really a state of confusion because I really didn't know what was going on, and plus we're playing Pittsburgh, and I'm standing across the line from Jack Lambert, who's got no teeth, and I'm going, this is a guy that I've been watching the last 6 or 7 years, and a guy that's a great football player, a legend in the NFL, and he's sitting there growling at me, and I'm going, what am I doing? I mean, this is not what it was all planned to be.
Elway's first game 8 years ago as Humphrey goes through the middle. You saw the flag come in from the umpire, which normally indicates.
Number 66 to the offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Exactly what Dale Hamer says.
I wonder what Jack Lambert thinks of that shot. He was one tough cookie to look across that line of scrimmage and pick him up.
Went into the Hall of Fame this year.
That holding call against Jim Juriga, the left guard, the former Illinois standout, who's had a fine game today. He is playing well this evening.
Brings it back to the 23-yard line. It will be 1st and 20. We have 7:17 remaining in the first half. Bottom of the screen, that's Frank Minifield, who just signed last week in the game. And Humphrey gets taken down by Thane Gash up at the 30 after a pickup of 7.
A few moments ago in the play before, we saw Mark Jackson run a long out, and the Cleveland Browns, as I said earlier, they love to stay in man-for-man coverage. Minifield is a super man-for-man cornerback. Tony Blaylock got beat by Jackson. The next play, Minifield, who we thought we'd only see in the nickel defense, is out on the field for the first time. Of course, the long time and celebrated holdout for the Cleveland Browns, also a multiple Pro Bowl player. There he is.
Very acrimonious holdout, and he and his agent threatening to file suit against the Browns, the Falcons, and the league. 2nd down and 13, and the pass is not close. Natil, the intended receiver. Minifield was covering. Minifield wanted to be traded, or at least his agent contended that he should work out a deal with Atlanta. Atlanta apparently offered Bill Fralick, and they said Minifield couldn't come to terms and accept Atlanta's offer, and then he wanted to go to Washington. Washington supposedly offered Jim Jacoby. Cleveland said, we want Lachey, and the Skins said no, and here's Frank winding up back in the same uniform.
Well, supposedly Atlanta offered Frank Minifield an $850,000 contract and he ends up signing a $700,000 contract with Cleveland. And, of course, that's minus 4 game checks.
As we say, it's a threatened suit. Nothing's been filed yet. 3rd and 13. And Elway underthrows Michael Young on a 3rd and long, and the Broncos are forced to kick.
Michael Young running the deepest out pattern I've ever seen.
Yeah. It was actually a zig out timing pattern, and they weren't even close.
Michael Young running a 52-yard out pattern. Elway has a great arm, but it's not quite that good.
Mike Horan to punt. Stephon Adams, fair catch at the 24-yard line. Cleveland will take possession there with 6:05 remaining in the first half.
Further to the Minifield story, there has been now a threat of a lawsuit against the Cleveland Browns and the NFL, with Minifield being represented by a former Baltimore Colt, Stan White. But apparently that has not been filed as of tonight. All kinds of problems for one of the great cornerbacks. We asked Bud Carson, would it affect the way he played? No way, he says. He's a great pro, and we won't be affected by it at all.
1st and 10, Cleveland at the 25-yard line. Metcalf, they fake the reverse to Langhorne. Metcalf out to the 28. He was the integral part of the Cleveland attack last year, but now you get the feeling that Cleveland wants to go to more of a big back set with Horde and Mack and use Metcalf as more of a specialist, to perhaps like a 3rd down specialist in the mold of, let's say, Dave Meggett of the Giants.
And really, those were the comments that the Browns management was making the day they drafted Eric Metcalf. They never drafted him to be their every down back.
They split him here on 2nd down and 7 from the 28-yard line. Kozar has time, has Langhorne, and Langhorne takes it out to the 45-yard line, and Cleveland moving impressively again.
Somebody better tell the Browns that they're supposed to be in total disarray and stink the joint up. They're not doing so tonight. I think that may be indicative of the pride that runs throughout this entire organization, and some people, some commentators have labeled the Browns as dead. I don't think that's the case. They may not win their division, they may not make the playoffs, but there's still a lot of good football players playing for the Cleveland Browns.
They win tonight. They're 2 back in Cincinnati, and in 2 weeks they have Cincinnati in Cleveland. As a matter of fact, we'll be televising that game, and Bud Carson keeps saying we're going to come together, we're going to come together, and maybe, and at least hopefully for him, this is the night it's going to happen.
Mack picked up a couple. Meanwhile, Elliott Smith comes limping off, and he's replaced by Alton Montgomery, the rookie corner, who is also nicked. And we'll see if Kozar goes to work on the left side.
Here comes the blitz.
Oh, it would be the right side of the secondary for Denver, and he goes down the middle for Langhorne. It's intercepted at the 24 by Atwater. Atwater gets a block. He's out past the 40 to the 47-yard line.
That was so close to being a brilliant, brilliant play by Bernie Kozar. If he throws that ball just a yard farther, he's got the play of the year. Standing in against the blitz, taking a hit, and dropping it in. But as it is, it's Steve Atwater that's given the chance to come up with the big play, and Frankie makes it.
Atwater man-to-man on the tight end. The tight end stayed in and blocked. That freed up Atwater, and he made a Pro Bowl play himself, got off and got deep, and was able to come up with the interception.
Oh, how a play can hinge on just the tiniest of things.
1st down, Broncos at the 47. Elway over the middle for Mobley and behind him, and Mobley can't reach back and make the one-handed grab.
Oh, John Elway would love to have that one back. Mobley was wide open. Elway, bad pass behind Mobley. Mobley could have caught it, but it would have been one of the great catches of the night. And he was so open.
2nd and 10 at the 47-yard line. 4:01 to go in the first half.
We'll see it again, because Mobley covered by a linebacker, and he can get downfield rather quickly on you.
Cleveland up by 3 as Elway retreats on 2nd and 10, and the pass is low, but it is caught by Vance Johnson as he picks it off the Top of the grass, stopped by Gash at the 44-yard line for a gain of 8. And it will be 3rd down and about 1.5 yards.
Well, that was a nice job by Vance Johnson of getting his arms under that ball.
This is the confidence you get now with the Bobby Humphrey back there. You got a 3rd down and 1. You got an offensive line that's blocking well.
Mobley in motion, and then Elway runs into Mobley. There's a flag down. There's a loose ball at the 49. All kinds of things are happening. The play is dead. Cleveland's recovered the fumble. Mike Johnson has it, but what about the penalty?
Well, who has the ball? I mean,
and so much for the confidence.
Where are they ruling this play dead?
Offside. Defense. 5-yard penalty.
Forget the fumble.
Doesn't matter where they ruled the ball dead.
What is it?
Well, I think the Browns might have been guilty of lining up offsides. They may have been in the neutral zone, and Michael Dean Perry, there it is right here. Look at Michael Dean Perry. He's in the neutral zone. You can see his helmet across the ball.
And Pike, too, number 75.
Yep. Michael Dean Perry was the farthest, and boy, you try to get the edge. You try to get every advantage you can, but you cannot line up in the neutral zone.
Big break for Denver.
He's lined up there again. They should call that one, and they do.
We've got a flag down. The pass is incomplete, and we've got another flag down at the end of the play. You've got 2 separate penalties here.
Well, I'm sure you could see that one if you were watching the interior line. Perry lined up offsides again.
Michael Dean. Where are you, Michael Dean? You are where you're not supposed to be.
You were going to lose 5.
2 separate penalties on this play.
Offside. Defense. Lining up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
Again, here's Michael Dean Perry. Take a look at where the football is. You can see that he's way across. We're not talking about borderline stuff. You can see Michael Dean Perry right here is the line of scrimmage. His helmet is into that neutral zone.
Well, I don't understand that. If he was a defensive end, I maybe could understand it, Dan, but not. You're lined up 3 or 4 feet away from the ball.
As it turned out, just 1 penalty as the line judge immediately threw a flag, and then a flag came down from the other side about 5 seconds after the inception of the play, obviously for the same infraction. Just thrown late. Humphrey to the 19-yard line and a 1st down.
Those 2 consecutive offsides obviously have rattled the Browns.
Boy, just a simple trap play up the middle, and Jim Jariga, the left guard, pulls and makes the kick out on Al Baker, and there's Bobby Humphrey inside.
Humphrey already with 69 yards tonight.
Look at him cover that ball.
Looking for his 4th consecutive 100-yard game. 1st and 10 at the 20. The clock down to 2:15 in the half. This is Bratton. Oh, no, it's taken down. It's a nice tackle by Clay Matthews. He's made a few in his career.
Frank, there's a look at a guy who bounced it to the outside and might have been wiser to take it up inside. Looked like there was a bigger hole inside.
Particularly when you get down in close, inside the 20 and around that area, turn it towards the goal line.
2-minute notification.
Notification? Oh, I never. No one in my locker room ever called it a notification.
Maybe that's in soccer.
What age? Of course, we weren't as genteel as Al.
It's now in vogue. This is Humphrey inside the 10, and Bobby Humphrey with a touchdown.
There's a notification.
Jariga again with a good lead block. A couple of offsides by Perry, and all of a sudden disarray on the part of the Browns defense.
Denver runs out of the shotgun formation as well as any team in the league. Look at Hamilton and Jariga. They pull from the offside and obliterate the point of attack. Thane Gash is over, but he's too late. Bobby Humphrey already into the end zone. Some teams seem to run so well out of that shotgun formation. Others struggle with it. Denver's always run well.
David Treadwell's extra point. And the Broncos cash in and now lead by 4. And Humphrey already with 88 yards on 12 carries.
Jim Zariga is having a big night for the Denver Broncos. Good lead block that time against Tony Blaylock, and Humphrey, very intelligent runner. Now watch 24. That's Blaylock. Here comes 66. Zariga kicks him out and gets a good block on the part of Hamilton. Turns it into the end zone. That's just good work.
Sure was an absence of white jerseys on that side of the field.
You know, just seemed to follow the 2 offside penalties on the part of Perry. All of a sudden there was a bit of a collapse on the part of the defensive unit.
Halftime, we mentioned before that Steve Atwater clip we have is pretty special. Stick around. Man on a mission.
If you've ever thought in your wildest dream you wanted to carry the football in the NFL, hang around and watch this.
That last part, is that Al Franken and Dan? I mean, is that what that?
I thought you were going to complain about the billing.
Saturday Night Live skit, yeah.
Al Franken, Dan.
Metcalf from the 8. Slides to a stop at the 16-yard line. Each team with 2 timeouts remaining. Here's a reminder, tomorrow night, Roseanne's got a new job at the mall. And Dan, not Deerdorf, gets mauled trying to run things at home. Then, a new basketball coach hits town, and Hayden can't believe what's happening. An hour of comedy with Roseanne and Coach tomorrow night on ABC.
Roseanne's serious about that National Enquirer, isn't she? She's after it, baby.
Yeah, and I
wouldn't want her after me.
And I'm not big enough to wear John Goodman's clothes.
Excuse me?
You used to be.
John Goodman. I'm not big enough for that part.
Flags are down as there was a lot of movement, mainly from Tony Jones. I believe he was the instigator, the Cleveland tackle. Mr. T. Jones.
He's an instigator now, huh?
Mm-hmm.
You're into the big words tonight, aren't you?
4 syllables. Huge. It was Jones, even though the mic wasn't working. Broncos, there's Humphrey taking it in from 19 after a 53-yard drive. Denver leads by 4. 1st and 15. Cleveland from the 11. Metcalf can't get started. Warren Powers, second year out of Maryland, makes the tackle. He's the guy replacing Alfonso Carricker.
Second-round draft pick last year. He's really come on, and both of these ends of the Denver Broncos credit a lot of their success to defensive line coach Earl Leggett, former Bears great, and he's done a good job with them.
Meanwhile, Denver takes the timeout here because you got a 3rd and 17. Last night, the Raiders and the Bills had at it. And, of course, it was a 10-point Raider lead. And here was the key play of the game, the block by Steve Tasker. And it was picked up and taken in by James Williams, the rookie corner out of Fresno State. That turned the tide. And then Jay Schrader completes this pass to Willie Gault, but he gets stripped by Nate Odoms, who played a big part in Buffalo's win over Denver last week. He goes in for the touchdown. And the Bills no longer bickering, instead 4-1, and on top with Miami in the AFC East, hand the Raiders their first loss of the season.
For the second week in a row, Buffalo turning around a losing effort and coming up with a victory. They did it to these Broncos the week before, and then last night to the Raiders.
That's the Broncos. They scored 3 times in, what, a minute and a half?
77 seconds.
Yep, a minute and 17.
Like I said, 77
seconds. 3rd and 17, and the pass is too long, intended for Ozzie Newsome.
Boy, that looked from up here like if Steve Atwater would have seen the ball, he could have intercepted that. It's like he didn't know where the ball was.
It is now 3rd and 17. It was 2nd and 17. There was an earlier penalty and no loss of down. There was a loss of down with the Colorado team the other day, though.
Yes, there certainly was. A big stink back in my home state of Missouri, where Colorado got a 5th down and scored on the last play of the game to beat the University of Missouri. And Bill McCartney says he's not giving it back.
3rd down and 17. Kozar taken down at the 10-yard line. And the Broncos will now take a timeout. They are last with 1:25, and that's Warren Powers making the stop on Kozar out at the 10. So the Broncos will get the ball back without a timeout.
Think back to the timeout that Denver had to use on their opening possession when John Elway had to call it and come over to the bench. When they like to have that one at their disposal now.
But if you're going to have somebody running your 2-minute offense, wouldn't you like to have John Elway?
Yeah, I think he's okay.
Remember a couple of weeks ago?
Elway, Montana,
Johnny Unitas,
Otto Graham,
Milt Plum,
Charlie Connolly.
Vance Johnson is back to receive the punt.
Carl Sweetan.
Yeah, right.
Pisarcik, was that it?
This guy's not bad either. Here, Bernie Kosar. All he wants is to not have jerseys in his face. Unfortunately, the jerseys in his face more often than not have been his own. They've been his own teammates, and sometimes his offensive line has been passing him. But they have played well tonight.
Bruised knee, both elbows bruised up.
Ralph Tam to snap it. Wagner's kick is blocked out of the end zone.
Simon Fletcher got it.
Safety.
Yep. Simon Fletcher all alone up through the middle.
Well, Denver has had it happen to them, and the Cleveland Browns, I don't know what Bud Carson's going to do. A couple of them last week blocked and returned for touchdowns. Now he's got one block. It's a safety, and I think he said he's never felt that kind of a feeling before. It's never happened to him before.
Well, he wins the consolation prize because each time it happened last week, it cost him 7, and this time it's only a deuce.
Unbelievable. Watch off to the left. Simon Brown is going to come from the left side. Here he comes in. Simon Fletcher, rather, not Simon Brown. I've been doing boxing too long. There is Simon Fletcher. You can't allow that kind of a crease on your punt protection. That's extraordinary that Cleveland is having this much trouble.
Yeah, the rule is you've got to block down on the man.
Watch Fletcher come in from this side over here. When you get penetration up the middle like that, you're going to have it blocked.
They doubled up out there, but you've got to
touched.
come down on that man. The furthest man out has the toughest time getting to the ball, and the inside man, of course, has the shorter route. You've got to block down on him.
Protecting your punter, Frank, is not that difficult. Everyone takes a gap. It is not that difficult, and to allow the disintegration of your punt protection team is inexcusable.
Wagner's free kick, and it is loose at the 35-yard line.
now.
It's a free ball. Absolutely. It's like a kickoff.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. So if Cleveland's at the bottom of this pile, it's their ball, but it's Denver.
Denver acted like they didn't want it.
Yeah. I mean, it's called a free kick. You can place kick it off, or you can punt it off, and Wagner punting it.
Well,
and
Ricky
Natil,
he was the only alert one out there,
Yeah.
Al.
Exactly. This is not like a regular punt, which you could let bounce and have down by the punting team.
Vance Johnson didn't exactly kill himself going after that ball. Vance a little nonchalant.
And so the Broncos get away with it. 1st and 10 from the 35-yard line. Elway throws, and it's incomplete, intended for Steve Sewell. That's where there's no question they were confused, the coverage unit, thinking it was in effect a punt, which it's not on a free kick.
It's hard to believe that Cleveland has had another punt blocked against them. Another thing that happens when you have a difficult time with your punt blocking team is that you tend not to cover the punt.
And there is a man underneath a whole pile of scrutiny and pressure and criticism. Paul Lanham, a long-time special teams coach in the league who's had great success in other places.
2nd and 10. And that's incomplete. Almost picked off, intended for Steve Sewell, and Clay Matthews was there.
When you block a punt, it just doesn't happen because you put a bunch of people out there. You look at it, you study it, they work on it. They work on it constantly during the week, and obviously they found a flaw, and it was so easily blocked.
You know, just a little sidebar to that story about special teams. When Marty Schottenheimer was in effect fired, some of the heat he took was because his brother, Kurt, was coaching special teams at Cleveland. Kurt is now with Marty in Kansas City. You think he enjoyed dinner last Sunday?
He enjoyed it more than Paul Lanham did.
It was his unit who blocked those 2 punts, the 2 touchdowns for the Chiefs.
3rd and 10, and Elway going very deep and too deep. Intended for Michael Young, who takes a little late shove there, but the coverage was there. Raymond Claiborne back there with him, the 35-year-old longtime New England cornerback, signed for a huge salary, and that's caused a pretty big stir in Cleveland, especially with the handful of holdouts they had.
You know, the unprotected free agent from New England went for $900,000 a year for a couple of years, and Elway was just throwing this away.
So Denver unable to capitalize and force the punt, and this one is downed at the 10-yard line.
A mile-high bounce.
Off the foot of Mike Horan. 56-yard kick, 47 seconds remaining. Cleveland has 2 timeouts, should they so elect to use them. Denver without a TO. 19-13 Broncos. Coming up Saturday on ABC's College Football, some of you will see the #1 team in the nation, the Wolverines of Michigan, hosting the Michigan State Spartans. Out west, it'll be USC coming off their win over Washington State the other night against the Stanford Cardinals. Pulled off that upset over Notre Dame. And then a week from tonight to the Vet in Philly we go, where the Eagles host the Minnesota Vikings.
You think there's not going to be some hitting there? One of those 2 teams, I mean, they both know they've got to win that one.
Cleveland will be content to run the clock out. Kozar will kneel down.
That's a decision that's difficult to argue with.
Yeah.
19-13 ball game with that field position. Very little to be gained by risking a turnover at that end of the field.
You're in the game and you're going to get the second half kick.
I mean, it's looked awful. It's been ugly for Cleveland, but let's face it, they haven't been hurt that bad.
They might, well, I don't know if they have to run another play or not. The game clock and the play clock are in sync right now.
If I'm Bud Carson, I go on into the locker room and I work on my 4th down offense, because I'm not sure I'd go into punt formation anymore.
And that should do it. As I say, the 2 clocks are absolutely in sync, so that'll be the end of the first half at Mile High Stadium in Denver. High-scoring affair as the Broncos lead 19-13. We'll be back with halftime activities after this message from the National Football League and a word from our ABC station.
He has touched all of us in a way few men could. Coach Tom Landry.
My faith and my family have always been my first priority. And in their eyes, I've always been a winner. I've coached some of the greatest athletes the game has ever known. But perhaps the best part of it all was the spirit of competition. To know the sense of victory in winning 2 Super Bowls, but also to know how to lose a game without losing your will to win or your dignity. That's really the greatest lesson that the game can teach any of us. And so I've come full circle to the things that are the most dear to me, my faith, my family, and the game I love. When you visit the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you'll see this old cowboy, Tom Landry, who's inviting you now to share the adventures of the game that I love so much. It's all here, waiting for you at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. Don't miss it.
This message furnished by the National Football League.
And now, another Coach's Corner with Hayden Fox.
I love these Denver-Cleveland games because they're always hard-hitting. They always go down to the wire, but in the end, Denver always seems to find a way to win. What do you guys think?
Well, I think the problem with Cleveland is even if you win, you lose, you still got to go home to Cleveland.
Oh, God.
Watch Coach tomorrow at 9:30, 8:30 Central, after Roseanne.
It's a terrific contract. It's a terrific union.
The new 3-year UAW-GM contract, an outstanding agreement from the union that wrote the book on collective bargaining, improved job security and guaranteed income, pensions up 20%, fully paid health care including dental and vision, and pay increases worth $14,000. For UAW members and their families, it means a better life.
You know, the UAW really came through.
When the big automakers need information fast, Ameritech is there. We're there when the nation's top retailers need to transmit data. Ameritech is there for nearly 25% of the Fortune 500 companies, 450 institutions of higher learning, and 1 million businesses. Moving information for the most information-intense region of the country. When it comes to communications in the together, Ameritech, solutions that work.
People are talking on Donahue, weekdays at 9 on WRTV6.
Halftime Report. Brought to you by your Toyota dealers and their quality line of cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. Here now, Frank Gifford.
Back at Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado, the Cleveland Browns and the Denver Broncos in a rematch of the AFC Championship game. Hope you're enjoying. You know, so many times I've said on the air following a big hit or a big block, I wish you could really hear how that sounds if you were right in the middle of it. Well, tonight, we're going to take you as close as we possibly can. A couple of weeks ago, the Broncos, Steve Atwater, and Kansas City's running back Christian Okoye put on quite a show in a game Denver won in the closing moments. Now, in that game, Steve Atwater wore a small sound apparatus in his shoulder pads, and I think you'll agree as you watch and listen as we spotlight Steve Atwater, this game takes a special breed of athlete.
Showtime, baby, showtime in the Mile High City. Let's go to work. Throw it to me, baby, throw it to me. Throw it to me. Go ahead. Let's go, They got Okoye at fullback. I don't give a he can play a wide receiver. Yeah! There you go, there you go. Come on, big man. Why'd you help him out? Mind game, baby. Mind game. Hey, mind game. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. We'll get tackle. Hey, Christian in. Christian's still in. Let's go. Hey, we got to lay it on his ass this time, baby. Let's be ready to give it up. Lock it up, lock it up, lock it up, lock it up, lock it up. Good try, baby. Love it, baby.
Hard to believe we ever did that. You know, I talked to Wade Phillips earlier. He didn't know that Atwater was wearing that shoulder pads and the sound apparatus then.
Yeah, let me take a moment here to show you what it was. Al, if you'll hold that for me. This is a pair of pants just like Steve Atwater wore. Here's the microphone right here. There's the microphone. Here's a transmitter that was actually taped to Steve Atwater's back, and then underneath the pad, you can see it right here. Here's the antenna that transmitted the sounds over to the sideline. And boy, I don't know how the microphone or the transmitter survived this.
It's amazing. He escapes unscathed in that game. Then he gets hurt the following week in a blocking drill in practice and misses the Seattle game.
Well, you know, we all knew that hit when we were here was something special when Atwater hit Okoye, and even seeing it and hearing it this graphically even made it stronger than it was at the time, I think.
Captured rather well, I might point out, by NFL Films. They do a terrific job.
Yeah, Frank, you mentioned about having done that. I don't know that I'll ever be far enough removed from the game where I'll stop appreciating the raw violence that takes place down on that field and what a special person it takes to play. Only the tough need apply.
All right, and we'll be returning to Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado in just a moment. Stay with us. We'll be back in a moment.
Don't worry about highways. don't work.
We start the second half at Mile High Stadium in Denver. Broncos, who come in with a 2-2 mark, leading the Browns 1-3, 19-13.
Someone was proposing love there in one of those signs.
They've got off you about your job, haven't they?
Always nice to lend a helping hand. Yeah, where was that where they put up that get a job sign?
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Well, we'll be back there. I'll take care of that.
Yeah, right. Treadwell. Fielded by Adams and then dropped by Adams in the end zone. And he doesn't know what to do with it.
That's going to be a safety.
Meanwhile, there's a flag at the 17-yard line, but now they're going to say he got out of the back of the end zone for a touchback. He was unsure what he had to do at that point.
Well, if he had controlled that ball on the playing field, then gone into the end zone, that would have been a safety no matter whether he got out of the back or not.
And there's a flag, as I say, up at about the 17-yard line, away from the action in the end zone.
Let's take a look. Did he have control of it here? No, he never did. It's loose. It's bobbling around.
So all you have to do is get it and take a knee, which he thought about doing. And, you know, that is really a difficult call for the official. I'm not sure what the flag is.
Yeah, we should have Atwater's microphone on Dale Hamer.
Really.
It's like the old days. We'll try to read the signs here. Originally, there was a touchback signal. Now the ball is being moved back to the 10. So there was a clip against Cleveland, and that's half the distance to the goal line, because without it, it would have come out to the 20. First and 10 at the 10. Newsome in motion. Kevin Mack, and Mack is wrestled down at the 5 by Dennis Smith, the 10-year veteran out of the University of Southern California.
And Ozzie Newsome stands there with an incredulous look, fully expecting the cut to be back to the inside. Newsome trying to block Dennis Smith and take him to the outside, ends up steering him right into the play as Kevin Mack, rather than jump inside, jumps outside.
Second and 14 from the 6. Kozar has it batted, and was it picked off? No, incomplete. Hit the ground. Greg Cragen was there along with Ralph Tam, and Cragen came very close to intercepting it.
And somehow Rakosi got up with the ball.
But Dan, speaking of a moment ago about having those jerseys in your face, his own jerseys, as the Denver defense just pushed the offensive line of the Browns back into Kozar's face.
Third down, 14 from the 6. Opening minute, third quarter. Denver up by 6. Kozar, and that one's batted down at the line of scrimmage by Warren Powers, 91.
Well, you can't blame the Browns offensive line for this. I mean, Denver got very little penetration there, and you've got a big quarterback in Bernie Kozar. Again, though, a guy who throws sidearm. Even at 6'5", it's a low delivery from Kozar because he throws it sidearm. And that's a situation where it was tremendous pass protection. The guy who blocked it was 4 yards away.
Meanwhile, I think Bud Carson's afraid to look.
He has reason to be.
As Cleveland tries to punt again, a low snap. Great play by Wagner to pick it up, and then a bad kick, and it's out of bounds at about the 36-yard line. Ralph Tam with the one-hop snap.
What? I know you'll blame Wagner, but it's hard to blame him because he has had terrible things happen to him trying to punt over the last 2 games, and Consequently, he just snapped one off the side of his foot trying to get it off quickly.
Now there's Ralph Tam, and one of the things the Cleveland people tell you is that his snapping deteriorates the more he plays on an every down basis. Ben Jefferson was normally the starter at left guard. They put Jefferson on the inactive list, started Tam tonight, so he's been playing every down and snapping, and there was a bad snap.
First down, Denver, 35-yard line. Humphrey, and for one of the rare times tonight in this season, he is stopped back of the line of scrimmage. Loss of 2. Clay Matthews leading the attack. ABC's Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Cadillac and your local Cadillac dealer. Discover why the only way to travel is Cadillac style. And by America's favorite light beer, Miller Lite, the sole sponsor of the NFL Player of the Year award. 2nd and 13, Denver at the Cleveland 38. Bronx by 6, 13:20 to go, third period. Elway is under pressure. His receiver, Mark Jackson, fell down. He was covered by Claiborne. It'll be 3rd and 13. Robert Banks and Van Waters causing a hasty release.
People going in all directions here in the Denver backfield. Look at you see Humphrey going to the one side, Waddell going out to the other side, and John Elway paying the price for what looked like a disorganized play.
3rd and 13. Four-man rush. Elway deep. Elway has it picked off by Felix Wright, who had 9 interceptions last year, and a good run back all the way out to the 36, which was the original line of scrimmage for the Denver Broncos. Elway trying to hit Johnson, and Wright with the interception.
Pro Bowl safety man from a year ago. Nobody in the coverage for him. He just played center field, picked off the ball, and took it back out close to midfield, out over the 35-yard line. Good play, Felix Wright. Cleveland, good field position.
13 minutes remaining in the third quarter.
Bernie Kosar changing off, and he's going to have to hurry to get the play off.
Mack into Denver territory. Smith comes up to help out on the tackle at the 45 after a gain of 8.
And a good switch by Bernie Kosar, reading something that he obviously had picked up during the week when they work on the tapes and get the frequencies and the tendencies of the defense. The key to it is being able to read it. Nobody does that better than Bernie Kosar.
2nd and 2 at the 45-yard line. Metcalf in motion. Metcalf takes the pass. And with some nice dance steps, takes it to the 41 for a first down. By the way, we might as well mention when Metcalf scored the touchdown earlier, it was ruled a run because it was perceived by the scorer as a backward or lateral pass. And so instead of it being a reception for a 5-yard touchdown, he's credited, at least for the moment, with a 5-yard run.
Now we got the big backs in for Cleveland. That's, of course, Kevin Mack and Leroy Horde.
Horde is the tailback on first down from the 41-yard line. And the pass is to Slaughter. And Slaughter is ridden out of bounds at the 35-yard line by Alton Montgomery after a gain of about 6.
Montgomery's a guy that was nicked. He's got an injury, and the Bronco coaching staff, Charlie Waters in particular, the Bronco secondary coach, really wasn't sure if Montgomery was going to be able to play tonight. He was one of those, we'll take a look at him during warm-ups and see if he can go.
Not a kind game either, is it, Dan? Find your cripple and go after him, and the Browns have.
You got it.
2nd and 4. Horde gets hoarded by Simon Fletcher back of the line of scrimmage.
Leroy Horde is going to discover that in the National Football League, when you don't see a hole, sometimes, especially when you weigh 230 pounds, you're expected to make a hole. I think we saw one of the coaches right there indicate, Leroy, you've got to just take it up and burrow up in there for a couple yards. You're not going to dance outside in this league and break containment.
3rd down and 6. Kozar out of the shotgun.
Comes the blitz.
They blitz. The pass is caught by Slaughter, and he takes it down to the 22-yard line. So they were coming, Montgomery and Kip Corrington,
and
on the stop.
The Pro Bowl receiver and Bernie Kozar were absolutely in sync there. They both read the blitz. Look at Slaughter. Takes it up just a little bit, but brings it in before they can get to Kozar. Kozar is right there with it.
What Frank means about in perfect unison is that is not the route that Webster Slaughter was going to run when he lined up. That is a blitz adjustment, and that is how it's done perfectly.
1st down from the 21. Mack breaks the tackle and plunges forward to the 18-yard line.
And let Horde look at some movies of Mack running that football.
He's not trying to bounce outside, is he?
He looks for someone to rough up. Big man, goes about 230 pounds. Just watch this for a moment. Boom, he gets rid of one there. Shakes off Powers. And he just made a whole bunch out of nothing.
Tough stuff in there.
2nd and 7 at the 19-yard line. 9 minutes remaining. 3rd quarter. Denver leads by 6. Kozar fires to the 6-yard line for a 1st down to Reggie Langhorne. And they are working on Alton Montgomery. Remember now, Braxton gone for the year. Elliott Smith replaced him. He limped off earlier. Montgomery nicked, and they are really working on his spot.
Here he comes, Reggie Langhorne. They have a couple of terrific wide receivers, and just a little zip to the inside before he can get into the dropping linebackers. Kozar is there with the football.
First and goal. Horde behind Mack, slices through to the 3-yard line.
That's more like it. He must have a headset on, Dan. Yeah. The old Michigan alum talking to the young Michigan alum.
Well, it's what he does best. I mean, Leroy Horde was drafted by the Browns because he fit their offensive scheme. A lot of times they'll be in one back. Bud Carson refers to it as his big back offense, and Mack and Horde fill that bill.
He said all the great coaches, that's how they got to be great coaches. They had the big back offense, the ball control offense, and they had super defense.
2nd and goal. Here's the big back attack with 3 tight ends out of the eye. And a sweep for Horde, and he gets swept down. No, he's still on his feet. Comes back the other way and still is then taken down at the 11-yard line. Scott Curtis was the guy who sliced through to force the issue. 58.
That's good effort on the part of Horde. He got back of some of what he would have lost had Curtis made that stop. Curtis just couldn't handle him.
So that moves it all the way back to the 11, an 8-yard loss, and makes it 3rd down and goal. And now a completely different look as they'll go to the gun and 4 wide receivers. Kozar steps up after pump faking, hits Mack, and Mack is in for the touchdown. Kevin Mack barreling through Wyman Henderson and in for the score.
And who says Bernie Kozar doesn't have any mobility?
And great presence.
Great job of staying alive.
4 wide receivers, and he scans the entire field. None of them were there, and all of a sudden he finds the only one open, and he wasn't all that open. Kevin Mack, he zipped it in there. It was a good catch on the part of Mack.
Now we have the officials taking a timeout.
Yep. And the umpire was the man who called for it, which indicates a look. They want to see if he made it into the end zone. That could be what they're looking at.
Oh, I thought he landed either on the goal line or in the end zone.
They're not looking for possession on the catch here. That's good.
Kozar keeping his presence about him. Atwater was all over Mack. He couldn't have had better position, but Kozar zipped it in. Or did he fumble it?
Well, they're going to look at where the knee landed.
Yeah, the ball's coming out as he goes down.
Let's see if the knee touches first.
Henderson with the blow.
The knee touches down at about the 1-foot line, but the ball, and
if the nose of that
Mack
ball is on the goal line, he's in.
Here we have another look at it from the reverse angle. I mean, it appears that the ball crosses the goal line and the knee touches the ground pretty doggone close to simultaneous.
I don't think you can reverse that.
I don't think
Again,
you can
it has
either.
to be totally conclusive. And
Watch the nose of the ball. Is it on the goal line?
Well, keep in mind, though, that this camera is not on the goal line.
Right.
So we're at somewhat of an angle from behind.
Can be so deceptive. It looked like the ball wasn't over the goal line. Then when he actually goes down, it looks like it is.
Or you can see the ball is actually starting to come out.
But not enough to reverse it, I don't think. If the play stands, you've got the critical extra point because the game is tied at 19. And remember, there's a 2-minute limit here.
Henderson with a good hit on the big man.
Well, the ball is not across the line, but if the nose of the ball is on that chalk, it's a touchdown, and it is.
We can't reverse that. There just was not enough to reverse it.
Either way, I think if that had been ruled down at the 1-foot line, we wouldn't have seen enough to reverse that call either.
So now Cleveland tries to take the lead, and they do on Korak's extra point. Jerry Korak boots it through after the Mack touchdown, and the Browns are on top, 20-19.
Well, they put the thrill back in the kicking game, though, haven't they?
And I switched to MCI, and you'd think AT&T would give me a break, right? But no. First thing is, don't you miss our great AT&T service. Can we define great? MCI guarantees I'll be happy with the service, and I get savings. Instant credits on wrong numbers. I mean, everything. Great. Well, don't...
6:38 remaining third quarter. Seesaw game at Mile High Stadium. Brian Wagner to kick off for Cleveland. The Browns are ahead again, 20-19. Low bouncing kick. On the run, it's Johnson from the 7. And Vance brings it back out to the 30, and here comes a flag flying in. Dale Hamer, assuming his mic is working, will let us know it's shaking. Holding against the Broncos. And we'll back them up. And here comes Elway. Well, close games are nothing new for the Broncos. They had a 5-point loss to the Raiders in their opener. They won by a point against Kansas City. They went to overtime against Seattle and lost by a point at Buffalo. And now they're down by a point, and Humphrey picks up 3. He takes it to the 24.
I think it's interesting, Al, too, that they led at halftime of every game they played, fallen behind. Well, they have not been what you call your basic second-half team. And Bobby Humphrey grabbed for a hamstring, it looked like.
Keep an eye on him. Well, you know,
he's favoring it, the left leg. He grabbed what looked like the left hamstring a moment ago. That's not good.
2nd and 7. They send Humphrey into the pattern. We'll get a look at that leg right now, and he appears none the worse for wear as he gets taken down by Minifield just short of a first down. It's going to set up a 3rd and inches, apparently.
Boy, after watching him favor it, and quite obvious that hamstring tweaked him a little bit, I'm surprised to see him run that freely after making that reception. Bobby Humphrey doesn't appear to have anything wrong with his leg at all.
He's a key man in the passing game tonight because obviously Cleveland is aware that coming into tonight he had only caught 3 passes, and they just let him go in the flat, and he's been the receiver on 3 passes and the intended receiver on several others.
3rd and inches, and Elway picks up those inches and about a yard, 2 yards more.
How's that for a line search?
First down at the 33.
One happy spectator looking on tonight, Kristen Lowry, sitting in the stands. There she is with the glasses on. She's here through the efforts of the Make-A-Wish program for children with life-threatening diseases, and tomorrow is her birthday. Let's all wish her happy birthday. She had a great day yesterday, met John Elway, He's having himself quite a time. Kristen Laurie from Oklahoma City.
She looks on, hopeful that her hero can guide the Broncos back, and Humphrey picks up 4 out to the 37-yard line. Thane Gash makes the stop.
Thane Gash is a guy who's been playing a fine game for the Browns tonight. He's been up on run support all evening, has made some open field tackles. He's been there on pass coverage, and the safety for the Browns has been on the spot where he needed to be all night.
Meanwhile, Humphrey now with 92 yards. 100-yard rushing efforts are becoming fewer and fewer. And yet here's Bobby on the verge of going over 100 for the 4th consecutive game. And Johnson was stunned by the pass. And Felix Wright was covering on the play.
You know what'll happen? John Elway sometimes forgets to take a little bit off of that. Vance Johnson has great hands, but he didn't have a chance to get him up for that one.
Well, he almost wedged that ball between his face mask. Watch the Vance break to the outside. Ooh, clang. And he almost went back and caught it. Excellent presence of mind there by Vance Johnson. He almost caught the ball twice.
3rd and 6 at the 37-yard line. To Sewell. Nice catch by Sewell, and a first down to the 44-yard line. The versatile one can line up anywhere. Tailback, fullback, H-back, split out. Flag is down at the end of the play.
You know, one of the things that John Elway does so well is look away to one side of the field and then come back to the other side. That's what he did there. Watch John Elway here. He's looking up, and then all of a sudden at the last moment he turns, but he did not deliver a good ball. Al's assessment was correct in saying what a good catch by Steve Sewell.
Flag is for offside. Cleveland decline. They take the play. That's a first down to the 45.
You know, Bud Carson has always had a lot of success against John Elway when he was with the Jets and also with the Cleveland Browns, but he defenses him a little different than most teams. He usually has somebody make sure he's contained, and he's doing it again tonight because we have not seen Elway, at least thus far, pull that ball down and hurt you with the run.
Elway,
until now,
asks for a block and gets out of bounds at the 50-yard line. Gain of about 6. It'll be 2nd and 4. 3:10 remaining.
The way Elway destroys you, and I know any football fan is aware of it, when you, particularly in a man-to-man defense, as Cleveland plays so much, is when he eludes a pass rush, breaks it off into the flat, you're tied up in man-to-man coverage in the secondary, he pulls that ball down and races upfield, and many times you get your secondary, they don't even release the man, they don't even see him until it's too late, and he picks up big yardage.
3rd and 5. The play clock is down to 2. Humphrey takes it to the 48-yard line. That's going to set up a 3rd and 2. Humphrey closing in on 100. Funny, we mentioned the paucity of 100-yard games this year from backs. Yesterday, sort of a typical day. Only 2 guys went over 100. Neil Anderson, 141 for the Bears. And Emmitt Smith, the Cowboy rookie, at 121 in their victory over Tampa Bay. 3rd and call it a short 3 at the 48. Out of the gun, the inside handoff, and Humphrey takes it to the 44-yard line and has a first down as he stopped by Thane Gash.
We alluded earlier to how well Denver runs out of the shotgun formation. They do it again here, and again Thane Gash is the guy that has to come up and make the tackle.
Broncos so tough to beat here through the years over the last 8 seasons. It's reflected there. That's 81%. They win 81% of their home games. 4 out of 5, in other words. And here they are down by a point in the waning moments of the 3rd quarter. Fake to Humphrey on first down. That freezes the defense, and they can't capitalize as Clarence Kay is unsuccessful in making the one-handed grab. Banks put the pressure on in the blitz.
See, that's how you run one play and set up another. That is nothing more than the play pass off the previous play. I think maybe Cleveland's defense was a little more alert to it than they might have been, seeing that Denver went to the shotgun on 1st and 10.
Little news from the league office today announcing that the most valuable player award in the Super Bowl will henceforward be known as the Pete Rozelle Award, and justifiably so. The commissioner of 30 years, bringing the two leagues together back in the 60s and bringing about the first Super Bowl. So the MVP will receive the Pete Rozelle Award.
2nd and 10. Elway scrambles, buys time, and finds the open receiver and hits Johnson, and that's enough for a first down.
And I know Bud Carson, who has defensed Elway so well in the past, just cannot believe what Elway just did. He ran right into a couple of Cleveland Browns and still was able to get out of it. Let's take a look once again. He pulls it down, turns right into his left side where the penetration is. And how you get out of this, I don't know.
I'll tell you how you get out of it, by being one fine athlete.
And then you pull it down, have the presence. And note what the receivers do. They always are aware that John Elway could come out of it and get the ball to him.
I mean, what do the defensive players say in the huddle when they get back after a play like that?
Nothing that we can say.
No. Well, I don't think they say anything.
2nd and 10.
Al, I think they just stare at one another. I mean, what do? There just haven't been many that are capable of making a play like that. I mean, that's one of the things that Elway and Joe Montana have in common. Their uncanny ability to sense pressure, where it's coming from, and react in the right direction. It's not coachable. This guy really can't take any credit for it.
2nd and 10, Denver at the 34. 48 seconds left, 3rd quarter. Cleveland ahead, 20-19.
Oh, Sewell
on the safety blitz, and Sewell can't get there. Thane Gash was the guy who came up the middle to force it.
Oh, what a well-designed play. Sewell was coming in motion, got lost behind the line of scrimmage, and kind of sneaked out to the right side. And had Elway been able to get the ball there, he would have had a free field right down to about the 5-yard line.
Mucho yardage.
Ooh.
That's a ball that John Elway, falling backward, just didn't get enough on. He wished he could have just put a little more oomph on that. Steve Sewell may have even scored on that play.
3rd and 10.
There's a false start on the left side by Hamilton.
And a little skirmish here. Ooh. Got Ken Lanier going at it with Rob Burnett. What do you think, Dan?
Well, Burnett, a good left cross. You could see it make contact. Kenny Lanier looked like he may have been doing work inside.
Yeah. Showed good parrying ability, though, I felt.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get Simon Brown in here.
He's already been here.
Inadvertently, though. Again, we have a skirmish on the field. It doesn't bring out the flags. The officials are being judicious in their use of the flags tonight.
Good idea. Incidental contact.
Really. After the play.
At the 39-yard line. 3rd down and 15.
And Natil, bottom of your screen, he represents the speed for the Broncos, and he is getting back into shape.
They blitz. They come at Elway, and he's going deep down the sideline at the 5-yard line. The catch is, I thought, made and then taken away by Minifield.
Oh, what a night to do it.
From Michael Young.
That is man-to-man, one-on-one bump and run coverage, the way it is written about, coached, talked about, and now you can see it. Look at the coverage by Frank Minifield. You see more of him than you see the receiver. Frank goes to the sidelines and says, I am worth it.
Top and Miller Lite together for the Recycler Tour. Don't let him pass you by.
Grand Prix Coupe, say your status.
Climbing through 10,000 feet, heading 194. Switching to frequency modulation. Anti-lock brakes operational. Head up, locked on. Fuel injected V6, powered up.
Yeah, Roger, Grand Prix. You're looking good.
I never miss a Texas steer sale.
I never miss lunch. This better be worth it.
Here's that size 10 wide width.
Oh, great. You know, I spend twice as much on boots that weren't half as comfortable.
I told you. Top grain leather, oil-resistant soles, insulated.
These will keep your little toesies warm and dry.
Toesies?
How do they make these so light? You just saved me $18.
Good. Now you can buy me lunch.
Saturday, it's an epidemic, and the fear
I'm going to die,
is spreading like fire.
Gotta burn out the collar. Nobody's burning Sweetwater.
Saturday, it's the Young Riders.
Following the Minifield interception, 12 seconds to go in the quarter. First down, Cleveland at its 5. And Leroy Horde will end the quarter with a 6-yard pickup to the 11, stopped by Michael Brooks.
Here's when you have great confidence in your corner. Look at Minifield locked up here, but watch how everybody rotates to this side of the field, and you talk about being all by yourself. Frank Minifield and Michael Young, and there's not another Brown within 20 yards of Frank Minifield, and he makes the play.
End of 3. Cleveland 20, Denver 19. Back for the 4th after this word from our ABC stations.
Roseanne's got a new job.
Mother, could we, order now? Oh, yeah, you'll eat what I bring you.
Roseanne! Then, does Hayden's ex want him back?
Are you that crazy? Or was I that good?
I'm that crazy.
Coach, Tuesday. Thursday.
Who's that man in the raincoat?
I'm Lieutenant Columbo.
He's back to track down a murdering playboy.
These girls have their help.
Emmy winner Peter Falk, Columbo cries wolf, Thursday.
On the northeast side, neighbors are on the lookout for a child abductor. And will the Senate keep the government going? We'll have details on these stories and more after the football game.
The game of football seems simple on the field, but off the field, the business of football isn't. Because players depend on trainers. Trainers depend on assistant coaches. Assistant coaches depend on the head coach. The head coach depends on the front office. All of them depend on communications. And that's why the NFL and its teams depend on GTE. Now, isn't that the kind of support your business should depend on? GTE, the telecommunications consultant to the NFL.
Classic rock is back on your radio. 103.3 FM, The Fox. The Fox. Classic rock, less talk. The Fox. Continuous classic rock. Turn on continuous classic rock with less talk. The new 103.3, The Fox.
If you have the baby, are you the mother? Next, Inside Edition.
Fourth quarter in Denver. It is 2nd down and 4 for the Cleveland Browns from the 11-yard line. They lead by a point. Kozar. That's caught by Slaughter. That's a first down and plenty more as he is still going. The play not yet whistled dead, and finally he is stopped by Montgomery at the 40.
Well, you got a team fighting and scratching. We talked about earlier, if Cleveland doesn't pull this thing off tonight, they're going to be in desperate trouble. And we got a couple teams coming up next Monday night that in the same kind of condition, Minnesota and Philadelphia.
We do, but you know what's crazy about this game is that you go into a game like this, and it happens so often in the NFL, you think one team has no chance to win. Cleveland totally in disarray.
We talked about desperation. We saw it last week with Seattle. How does Seattle beat Cincinnati? I mean, here's a team falling apart. And then look at the Browns, a team supposedly falling apart. Look how they play tonight.
You can't look any worse than the Browns looked last week against Kansas City. And next week, as Frank began to mention, we take a look at two teams that will have to do what the Browns are doing tonight to get their seasons turned around, Minnesota and Philadelphia.
If you weren't with us earlier, the Browns had another punt block tonight. 2 a week ago, and their loss to Kansas City, their overwhelming loss, 34-0. So, and they've held it together, and you got to admire that. They've been taking a lot of heat.
2nd and 8 from the 42-yard line. Freezes the defense, does Kozar with the play fake, going deep, but only orange shirts are out there, and a striped one as well, and it was almost picked off by Atwater. And one of the officials goes down as well.
Reggie Langhorne, the receiver in the area. I'm not so sure that Bernie just didn't overthrow that and come a little closer than he would like to Steve Atwater. He was very well covered, was Reggie Langhorne. But keep in mind, too, Kozar had a lot of time to deliver that ball, and time has not been a luxury item for him thus far this season.
I don't know that Kozar doesn't try to find Webster Slaughter here. He's been the hot receiver.
He's had time tonight. He hasn't been sacked, neither has Elway. 3rd and 8, 5-man rush. Kozar gets belted, but gets it away, and it's caught by Brennan, and a first down.
Boy, does Kozar get belted.
13-yard gain. Carl Mecklenburg was the guy who leveled him. Numbers through 3 quarters. Total yardage almost dead even, reflective of the score.
Time of possession almost even. Good game. Yep. Back and forth.
Sometimes, you talk about stats being deceiving. How crazy is it last week? Kansas City beats Cleveland 34-0. Cleveland outgained them.
Like 400 yards to 197 or something. Well, that was something really lopsided.
And Denver blew Buffalo away in total yardage. And they lose that one.
Oh, here's an audible.
We're down to nothing on the play clock. He got it away at 0 without a flag, and it has it intercepted by Alton Montgomery.
Oh, Webster Slaughter didn't pick up the change by Kozar.
And Montgomery out past the 30 to the 31-yard line. Kevin Mack really buries him at that spot.
Kozar reads on Webster Slaughter. Slaughter didn't hear or didn't pick up the change, and Kozar tosses up the interception, and Slaughter just kind of loped down the field.
Frank, it's the exact opposite of the tremendous look we had there in the 3rd quarter.
He's looking, Dan. He's trying to hear, but he doesn't get it.
We saw Slaughter make the adjustment in the 3rd quarter. This time he doesn't. And Bernie Kozar ends up the GOAT.
The data are in.
They indicate the baby boomers are slowing down.
Is that a fact?
They've got families to think of. They've no room for fun.
Our Pontiac Grand Prix's fantastic. This Ford one really moves, and it's got a great feel for the road.
Face it, the good times are over.
Since when? The good times are just around the corner in a Grand Prix.
It's coming to 100 million mailboxes across the country. To every home and every business. The complete address guide from your post office. Find out ways you can help us move your mail faster. Like using directionals, apartment numbers, and the correct place for zip codes. Look for it in your mailbox the week of October 22nd, and we'll deliver even better than ever before.
We deliver for you. You think you're bad? You think you're bad, man? This is bad. You know what I'm saying?
Hot and spicy chicken. So good, it's bad.
Hey, fellas. Guess who's going out tonight?
He must be some pretty bad dude.
Not as bad as this chicken.
Hey, fellas, you don't know what you're talking about. This isn't bad. It's terrific.
Hot and spicy chicken.
Very good chicken.
This October at Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Dan was up all night working on
It's about time. He wanted CEO, but they only went with the president label.
That goes hand in hand with that get a job sign. I'll take care of the budget.
Yeah, I'll bet you will. First down from the 32-yard line as Humphrey can't get started and gets wrapped up by Chris Pike and Van Waiters. All right, let's update some NFL news for you. Roger Craig, the durable one, tore a knee ligament yesterday. They don't know exactly how long he'll be out. It is at the moment not severe enough for him to be placed on injured reserve, but to be determined. Jim Harbaugh broke a rib yesterday, may miss Sunday's game against the Rams. The decision to be made on Friday. And at Green Bay, Brent Fullwood, the Packers say, will be traded or released by tomorrow, and they have reinstated the suspended Herman Fontenot. 2nd down and 10 at the 32-yard line. Elway throws. Open is Johnson. He slips down but wasn't touched, and so he's alive and takes it all the way to the Cleveland 49.
Now, we talked earlier about his running ability, a former tailback at Arizona who's turned into a superb receiver here in Denver. And you saw a good example of it there a moment ago. And again, also, what can you say? Elway just spins away, spins around, and fires one to Vance Johnson.
11:52 remaining. Cleveland on top 20-19. Browns have scored 3 touchdowns and missed 1 extra point. Denver has scored 2 touchdowns, a field goal, and a safety. A lot of time for Elway, and rifles it to Jackson, but he juggles it and drops it. Ooh. Oh, it sounded like a hard hit as it hit his hands.
He threw that in between defenders to John Elway. He had everything his arm could deliver on the ball, and Jackson, who ordinarily is sure-handed, you have to be with a John Elway, just could not handle it.
I think Mark Jackson saw Thane Gash coming at him and was distracted enough to lose concentration on the ball and drop it, because Thane Gash is coming right at Mark Jackson.
Well, but look at the confidence of Elway.
See Gash right there? I'm thinking Jackson got distracted and took his eye off the ball.
2nd and 10.
Elway rolls out.
And is that catch made? No. It's Johnson again, and he can't hold on at the 40-yard line. Raymond Claiborne all over him.
2nd and long yardage. Desmond Carson likes to come with the blitz, and that's exactly what he did.
So it's going to be 3rd and 10. Again, another close one for the Broncos. As we say, 2 one-point games and an overtime in the last 3 weeks, and a 5-point game on opening day. Down by 1 here. Third and 10. Browns show blitz, and they do come, but the Broncos pick it up, and the pass, a reaching catch made by Johnson.
Beautiful.
Got position on Claiborne and takes it to the 15-yard line.
Beautiful.
That's the gamble you take with the blitz. You get single coverage, and that time Vance Johnson was locked up with Raymond Claiborne. Vance Johnson, aware that the blitz was on, kept himself alive, and Elway held to the last second, paid the price, but he put it right on the numbers.
You talk about having to stretch for the ball. Watch Vance Johnson extend himself and catch that thing right on the end of the finger. Just a perfectly executed play, and the Vance, who was a little hurting after the previous play, sits this one out.
He needs a blow. 1st down from the 16-yard line. Fake to Humphrey, then an end around to Mark Jackson inside the 10, the 5, touchdown Denver.
Great call. You get a defense that's fighting, scrapping, pursuing. You come with the reverse, go against the grain. It worked perfectly. Super call.
We have seen flea flickers. We've seen reverses. We've seen just about everything tonight. Offensively, both of these teams have gone deep into their playbooks.
It's another Monday night at Mile High every time we come into Denver. Treadwell with the extra point.
The key here at the bottom, Clay Matthews, the linebacker to that side, came on the blitz. That leaves a real hole in containment. And boy, Denver couldn't have called it any better for the defense that Cleveland was going to run, and Mark Jackson just takes a stroll to the end zone.
Chrysler Fifth Avenue, Imperial, and New Yorker Salon are all engineered with ABS brakes, so you're safer when you drive. With our hands-free visor phone, you're safer making a call. Our remote entry system means you're safer at night. And our driver's airbag means you're safer in an accident. Chrysler Safety, because the most important thing that goes into our cars is you.
Now get cashback savings or low APR financing on new 91 models.
Did you know that more moms and pops, mothers and daughters, fathers and sons, all kinds of businesses look to AT&T for accurate billing, immediate credit for misdialed calls, an operator when you need one.
This is Clancy & Sons. Your piano's on its way.
All at extremely competitive prices. In fact, businesses use AT&T more often than all other long-distance companies combined. Quality service, competitive price. Another AT&T advantage.
Before this, you never heard of cold filtered. Before this, you never heard of genuine draft taste in a bottle. Now hear this. Get out of the old, get into the cold.
Cold filter taste what it's all about. Never heat pasteurized, so the rich, smooth taste don't cook out. For those who discover its real draft taste, the world can be a very cool place.
Get out of the old, get into the cold. Miller Genuine Draft.
Herschel Walker leads the Vikings.
Denver to kick off. There have been 4 lead changes in the game. 26-20 Broncos. Treadwell's kick is it? The question is if it goes into the end zone, which it does, it's a touchback. If it had gone out inside the 1, but before it reached the goal line, it would have been at the 35. It's a 15-yard swing. And they rule it a touchback, and the ball comes out to the 20-yard line. It's pretty close.
Well, the official is right there. You can't fault him on his placement. And if you follow the shadow of the ball, it went into the end zone. Of course, what's the shadow have to do with anything?
Yeah. A little reverse angle. And it still goes into the end zone.
I don't have a clue.
Let's go to the replay booth.
Presenting the $9,500 Advantage. It comes with the Chrysler New Yorker Fifth Avenue, which comes with a fuel-efficient 3.3-liter V6, a standard driver's airbag, better owner care than any Cadillac sedan, and a price tag $9,500 less than Cadillac Sedan DeVille. Chrysler Fifth Avenue. Luxury with a $9,500 Advantage.
Now get the added advantage of cash back or low APR financing on new 91 models.
IBM is taking the personal computer where it's never been, bringing you a remarkably affordable computer with the power you need to bring work home. Yet it's also exceedingly easy to learn and easy to use. At last, a computer for the whole family with popular options already included. The IBM PS1, a new kind of computer, the kind you've been waiting for all along. With PS1, IBM brings it all home.
Sunday love is tested when this hot lady lawyer defends her husband for killing his mistress.
I want us to have a chance.
Don't touch me!
In defense of a married man, Sunday.
The Bronco looming high above the scoreboard.
That is a horse.
Oof. That's a horse and a half right there.
The riderless horse, not symbolic of Denver's offense tonight. They have pulled out a little bit of everything. Both teams, not much trouble moving the ball.
Well, the Browns have it at the 20. The Broncos under Dan Reeves leading the Browns under Bud Carson by 6.
And for those of you wondering, that was not your living room shaking. That's Mile High Stadium.
Here's Ford.
Oh, he
fumbles. Dennis Smith is there. Smith was on top of it, waiting for the signal.
Oh. Well, they haven't yet signaled.
No, not yet.
The ball was loose, though.
Somebody's got to signal something here, guys.
The officials were positioning themselves as if to indicate it's Denver's ball, but we haven't seen a thing
There
yet.
we go.
Yes.
Leroy Horde, you got to put that ball away when you're coming through the middle. Last week on the opening drive against Kansas City, it was Horde who fumbled at the 3-yard line. It could have made a tremendous difference in that game. Not known as a fumbler at Michigan, a little different area in which he's operating today. They will go for that football, particularly when they find out that you'll give it up.
From the 32-yard line, on a huge series for Denver's or Cleveland's defense, the catch is made by Bratton, and Bratton takes it down to the 17-yard line. First down.
How discouraging it must be for players around the National Football League to have John Elway on the run. Here Clay Matthews has him running backwards, and then off his heels, falling backward, have him deliver the ball with such accuracy. How frustrating. I can't imagine how difficult it must be. What a rare treat to watch John Elway quarterback a football team.
Browns keeping that dubious streak alive. From the 16, Humphrey gets wrestled down. Nice tackle made by Van Waiters. Second down and 9 at the 16-yard line.
Well, what a difference Humphreys has made to this offense of the Denver Broncos. When you can run the football, they have been able to do that. All the time John Elway has been here, they've been averaging somewhere well under 4 yards per carry, and it makes such a difference when you can run the football and what you can do.
And that's why they drafted him, picked him #1 in the supplemental draft last year. Still seeking 100 yards, and he should have it now as he gets inside the 10 down to the 9-yard line. A little shy of the first down. He moved in behind Doug Weidel.
And here's an area of the field where the Cleveland Browns are going to have to gamble a little bit. Trailing by 6 points, they're going to have to come up with a big play and somehow pressure Denver.
And Humphrey is limping once again, and this time noticeably, and he will not come off the field now.
Well, you could see where he was caught that time after the tackle. Looked like he had both of his feet underneath, and someone rolled up on the back of both of his ankles, and you can see Bobby Humphrey looking at his right ankle, kind of holding back by that Achilles tendon area.
This is an official's timeout, and it's enabled Elway to race over to discuss things with Reeves as they work on Humphrey, and this carry here takes him over 100 for the 4th straight game.
Look right here, Al, where he gets caught with his both ankles underneath the Brown tackler.
Van Waiters, the linebacker, with a lot of speed, pursued and rolled up on the back of his leg, and now it does not appear to be too serious. If you're a Broncos fan, you certainly hope it isn't, because he is such a major part of that offense.
3rd and 1.5 yards, and the Browns are sending in people on defense as the Broncos huddle. They make the change with a 3rd and 1.5 yards. The Broncos, in effect, just got a free timeout as Elway went to the bench, and they come up in a tight formation with 3 tight ends. Bratton and Winder are the running backs. And Sammy Winder seeking that first down as he gets obscured by the pile. He has to get to the 7.
Steve Sewell setting some kind of record for how many different directions a guy can go in motion at one time.
Out of the H-back spot. He has to get, as you can see, just inside the 7, and he didn't get there. And so they're going to send Treadwell in with a 6-point lead to try to make it 9.
Well, this is the type of situation where Denver has run fakes before. If you're the Cleveland Browns, you should be yelling alerts. Watch for the fake. Watch for the fake.
I'd be surprised, though, because it's a chance to go up by 9 here. It's a 25-yard attempt, and the kick is good.
It's just that spot of the field where it's just an automatic. You always yell, watch for the fake.
Now they have forced the Browns to score twice. 7:21 to go. Bronx by 9.
The Chrysler New Yorker 5th Avenue is engineered with ABS brakes, so you're safer when you drive. Our hands-free visor phone means you're safer making a call. Our remote entry system means you're safer at night. And our standard driver's airbag means you're even safer in an accident. Chrysler safety, because the most important thing that goes into our cars is you.
Now get cashback savings or low APR financing on new 91 models. If you have an insurance repair on your home and you have Allstate, it's in our hands. We know some very reliable contractors. It's our business too. So if you choose a contractor we recommend, we guarantee the workmanship of their repairs for 1 year. That's why you're in good hands with Allstate. A member of the Sears Financial Network.
I sometimes think that as a people we undervalue our freedoms because we've had them for so long. I have worked in so many countries where people didn't have the basic freedoms that I'm perhaps even more sensitive or more emotional to having them than others.
The nation's #1 team, Michigan, hosts Michigan State. Or Stanford, fresh off their upset of Notre Dame, tackles Southern Cal. Saturday on ABC Sports.
Still checking out Bobby Humphrey's ankle on the Denver bench as he has come out of the game. Came out after his last carry, which put him up to 106 yards.
That's almost 600 for the season.
By far tops in the league. Denver by 9. Treadwell kicks off. Metcalf at the 4. And he gets popped by Plummer out at the 20-yard line. Bruce Plummer and Ty Allard. Well, the quarterbacks tonight. Head-to-head, Kozar and Elway. Marquee matchup. How have they done? Same number of completions. Kozar with the better percentage, slightly more yards. 2 touchdowns for Bernie, but also 2 interceptions, including that big one picked off by Montgomery.
And you see that Elway has really evened out after getting off to a very hot start. 7 of 8 at the beginning of the ballgame. Now below 50%.
Browns from the 20, and again, Kozar has that knocked down. It looked like Andre Townsend, number 61. They're playing no favorites when it comes to knocking them down.
It's the third one tonight that Kozar has seen batted away.
And watch the sidearm delivery. There it is. And it's a fine job of protection by his offensive line. No one's in his face. But look,
Danny's 6'5", but he's throwing like the ball is delivered like somebody's 6'1" or 2.
And Townsend is only 6'3", and that ball hit him in the middle of the forearm. It's one of those things. Good work by Andre Townsend.
2nd and 10. And Kozar gets dropped down at the 22-yard line. Turns out to be a minimal gain and no sack. It'll be 3rd and 8. Fletcher and Townsend converge on the tackle. And a Brown is hurt. And it is Tam, Ralph Tam, the guard.
Well, now this puts the Browns in a perilous position because Tam not only is the starting guard, but he's also their long snapper. In fact, he's their snapper on both punts and field goals and extra points.
For the moment, it means Kevin Robbins comes in.
Looks like he's going to be all right. He probably took a shot to the solar plexus.
3rd down and 8 at the 22. We're under 7 minutes to play. Denver on top by 9. Five-man rush. And Kozar, it's close to a 1st down. That's Brennan, the possession receiver, and you can see the stripe. He's going to be very, very close.
He's going to need a real good spot to pick this up.
I think he's going to be short, and I think Bud Carson's going to have a mammoth decision to make here. If he is short.
6:24 left in the ball game. You're down by 9. You need a touchdown and a field goal.
You go. I think you go too.
That's your big man, Kevin Mack. You got to give it a go.
Well, you also have to keep in mind Ralph Tam, his snapper, goes off the field, and the Browns have had terrible luck in punting the football. I mean, that's got to figure into his decision. It's not like he's got Ray Guy and a fabulous punting unit at his disposal.
They're going for it. 3 tight ends coming in. They have failed to convert 11 consecutive 4th down plays going back to last year.
Well, we hope Bud doesn't know that.
Ooh. 4th, and you might make that singular.
Do you take the gamble, too? Go play action. You need to score twice.
Ooh, big risk there.
Horde 33, Mack 34, back of Kozar. Mack, has it. First down, Cleveland.
You notice going. You think there was any doubt that Kevin Mack was going to get the ball instead of Leroy Horde?
Tam back in the game.
And now the Browns are going to have to pick it up a little bit offensively. They may have to go with a no-huddle offense.
They go with a quick huddle here, and let's see, was Townsend drawn off by Tam? The answer in a moment. Illegal procedure, Cleveland.
Good call, Art Fleming.
We needed the answer first. Back to the 27 at Coast, 1st and 15. Kozar out to the 34-yard line, and that is incomplete, intended for Brian Brennan. It'll make it 2nd and 15, and they gave Brennan no breathing room at all. Bruce Plummer was right there.
Bruce Plummer, this was tight coverage. How tight was it? That tight. You could see the right hand is on the back of Brian Brennan, but that's a technique that a defensive back will get away with more often than not.
2nd and 15. Kozar open is Slaughter. He makes the catch for a first down at the 44-yard line. Got into the seam, and Cleveland keeps the drive going. 5:09 to go.
Denver, even on first down now, staying in their nickel defense. Actually, it's more of a prevent now. They have 5 defensive backs in. And this will offer a lot of seams, passes like we just saw a moment ago. Find the open spot, hook up.
Here's Mack taking it over the middle to the 50-yard line.
Ooh, and Atwater.
Yeah.
Atwater looks hurt.
He went down crumpling at the 50-yard line, and there is Atwater.
Steve Atwater not even making any attempt to get up. Both safeties met at the receiver, Dennis Smith and Steve Atwater.
Well, among other things, we talked about Atwater having ribs that were sore enough to prevent him playing a couple of weeks ago against Seattle.
Nothing unusual about it. 27, top of your screen. That's Atwater. The tackle is from the side. Smith didn't hit him, I don't believe. Mack, a big man, 6 foot, 230-pounder.
I agree with you, Frank. I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. Looks like Atwater is holding his left arm up in the air.
Either that, or it might be the same thing that a catcher occasionally experiences on a bad foul tip.
The thing that Frank referred to earlier is a shot to the solar plexus.
Yes, exactly right.
My geography is always been pretty bad.
Here we are looking for the euphemisms again, right?
But we do have Ralph Tam back in the game, too. So we were correct, I think, in that assumption. I think we'll probably see Atwater again.
Yeah. Fortunately, that's all it was. So.
Although you see him shaking that left arm.
The left wrist. Yeah, he might have been just a little bit frightened with what happened.
Or maybe, Frank, it might have been the old zinger. He might have pinched nerve, and boy, it shoots down that arm, and you lose all sensation for a while.
Kip Corrington comes in to replace him, and on 2nd and 4, on an inside handoff, Mack, and on a very slow developing play, he picks up a yard.
A very slow developing play out to not a very fast back.
That's not his long suit. Good at getting to the outside. He looked like a missile looking for a Bronco.
Yeah.
He missed the Bronco and caught the turf.
Oh, he's got grass, and we've got snow, and we've got it all here today.
Oh, yeah. Wind, sleet, the way it should be. 3rd and 2. And it's dropped at the 45-yard line by Brian Brennan.
And again, it's Bruce Plummer, who is well aware that Brennan is not a great speedster. He has little moves, he's quick, but Plummer is playing him very tight. He's not worried about Brennan ever going to run away from him.
Oh, great look at it right there.
Plummer all over Brennan.
Craig Jenoff, our director this evening. Kenny Wolf, our producer. Great job, guys. Good look.
It is now 4th and 2. So again, the Browns facing a 4th down situation at the 48-yard line.
Oh, and this booth is shaking again. I hate this.
Kozar going deep, and he hits Vernon Joins, of all people, for a first down. First-year wide receiver out of Maryland, signed as a free agent. 24-yard gain, first catch of the night for Vernon Joins.
Well, you're guaranteed that Vernon Joins is going to get single coverage, but what a gamble to take on 4th down and 2. Kozar gets Joins working against Wyman Henderson and lays it up there perfectly.
Boy, he got control of the ball just in time, and there's
they
a
throw to
touchdown.
Brennan for the score. Brian Brennan with a touchdown. And again, it's Atwater out of the game, and that's the area in which Corrington has responsibility. Number 25, and Brennan makes the touchdown grab.
And what a leader this man is. He gets it on 4th and 2 to Joins, not a good percentage pass, going way upfield on the 4th and 2, and he comes right back. No huddle, hits Brennan in the end zone, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do in the kickoff.
Interesting to see what they do on the extra point here, too. Remember, Tam's going to snap it. Jerry Corrick out of the hole by Mike Pagel to try to get to within 2. 29-27 now.
Well, I don't think there's much doubt on the kickoff. You've got to kick it deep. You still have 3 timeouts remaining, and this is a defensive coordinator that's now a head coach. He's going to live or die with his defense. A great job of looking off the secondary by Bernie Kozar, looking to the right side of the field, and then coming back and working to Brian Brennan, as we found out, finds that hollow spot in there and takes advantage of Steve Atwater being on the Bronco bench.
Brennan can work that kind of defense, a prevent defense that, as we've seen over and over, exploited. And thus far this year, we have seen it many times. But somebody like Brennan, somebody like Kozar, working together, and they just pick it apart.
29-27. Brian Brennan with a touchdown after Joins made that great reception on a 4th down play. The Browns, and we had documented it, had not made a 4th down conversion on 11 consecutive tries, and then they pick up back-to-back ones on this critical drive.
And even if Cleveland should end up being on the losing side of this ball game, you have to look at this, the way this team has responded to the criticism, to the pressure that was placed upon it. This is a moral victory for the Browns tonight.
If nothing else.
Yes, if nothing else.
And there's another kickoff that's very close, and this time they say it went out of bounds.
That hurts. They'll get it at the 35-yard line. That hurts.
Had it gone another yard or so and into the end zone, it would have been taken at the 20.
And as you pointed out, the longtime defensive coordinator, Bud Carson, has been around a long time before he got his first head coaching job with the Browns a year ago. And most of it was on defense. Now they're going to be trying to strip that ball. And this, of course, going back to that 4th and 2 pass that completed to Vernon Joins, the first-year
that was
receiver
beautiful
out of Maryland. It was perfectly thrown.
Boy, he didn't have possession of the ball, and then, as you could see, he did get possession of the ball as he slid out of bounds.
Each of those plays went for 24 yards. Now, each team with all of its timeouts at the 35-yard line. Here's Sammy Winder with Humphrey still on the bench, and he's taken down for a loss by Felix Wright.
And what a time to have Bobby Humphrey on the bench.
Meanwhile, Cleveland will not use a timeout at this point. It will be 2nd and 13. They have 3 plus the extra one they're going to get at the 2-minute warning as well.
They just can't give up the first down. They're in good shape if they can hold the Broncos without the first down.
There's Humphrey. And it is apparent that Bobby Humphrey is not going to come back into the ball game. as he wears the jacket on the sideline.
2nd and 13. Fake to Winder. Pressure by Matthews. He tips it. And it is caught by Ken Lanier, the tackle. So they keep possession the hard way at the 26-yard line. And Bud Carson says, give me a timeout here.
Boy, what an all-pro play by an all-pro linebacker, Clay Matthews.
He's
what
made a few in his career, hasn't he?
Oh, what
right
a
in the
great
face
play.
of Elway. And we talked about Carson being able to contain John Elway. Now, that's not by accident that Clay Matthews was out there. Elway had nowhere to go. He had nowhere to get to the outside and then give him the option of whether to run or pass.
2:19 to go. It's going to be 3rd down and 17. The difference in this game right now is a safety off a blocked punt. 29-27. Of course, the difference in the game wouldn't even be that safety had the Browns made one of their extra points. They've scored 4 touchdowns tonight and missed 1 extra point. Denver with 3 TDs.
Browns bring out
goals and a safety.
Browns bring out their own 6 defensive backs now with 4 down linemen, and Clay Matthews stays on the field as he does during the prevent and also in the nickel.
Real pressure on those front 4 to somehow, 1, pressure John Elway, and 2, contain him at the same time. Not easily done.
Line of scrimmage 28. They have to get to the 45 on 3rd down. Incomplete. Sewell, the intended receiver, covered by Matthews, and the Browns defense does its job. 2:14 remaining. They still have 2 timeouts plus the 2-minute warning.
And that was an ugly offensive series by the Denver Broncos. Sammy Winder loses yardage, then the tip pass by Clay Matthews, and then the incompletion.
Or a thing of beauty defensively by Cleveland.
Yep.
Mike Horan to punt.
Depending upon where you call home. Denver or Cleveland.
And we have to go to Cleveland in 2 weeks.
Stephon Adams back to receive.
Oh, you really play the odds, don't you?
Adams at the 33, juggles it at the 38-yard line. You don't see that good an act in the circus. Ty Allard makes the tackle. Heart-stopping moment here for the Browns, but he holds on.
And you know, the other important thing here is we watch Adams bobble this ball and then finally regain control, is that in that last series, the Cleveland Browns only had to use 1 of their timeouts. They only had to use 1. So in a series where Denver might have been able to get the Cleveland to use all 3 of them, they only used 1. They still have 2 left.
And the free one at the 2-minute warning, which will come up following this play as Metcalf gets dropped at the 33-yard line. Randy Robbins comes up to stop him, and we go down to the 2-minute warning, which comes officially with 1:59 to play.
Coal filtered, never heat pasteurized.
What happened? The car just kind of...
Ask him. Miller Genuine Draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
Presenting the $9,500 Advantage. It comes with the Chrysler New Yorker 5th Avenue, which comes with a fuel-efficient 3.3-liter V6, a standard driver's airbag, better owner care than any Cadillac sedan, and a price tag $9,500 less than Cadillac Sedan DeVille. Chrysler 5th Avenue. Luxury with a $9,500 Advantage.
Now get the added advantage of cash back or low APR financing on new 91 models.
Herschel Walker leads the Vikings into Philadelphia to meet Randall Cunningham and the Eagles. 2 of the league's most explosive threats take the field next Monday night on ABC Sports.
2nd down and 16. Steve Atwater, who was shaken up, is now back in the game as the Cleveland Browns have the football at their own 33-yard line. 1:59 to go. 2 timeouts left for the Browns. They're down by a deuce.
Broncos stay in their prevent defense. And what the Browns, of course, can think at this point, it's second down, but we also have the third and the fourth down in which we could go. So you don't want to get risky with it. You don't want to go low percentage stuff. You go in there and find the gaps in the prevent, and nobody can do that better than Bernie Kosar.
2nd and 16. Kosar to the sideline, caught at the 49-yard line by Vernon Joins again. And that is close to a first down, a little bit short.
And things are awful quiet at Mile High Stadium.
In fact, that's almost close enough for a measurement, but they don't. It's 3rd down and inches at the 49-yard line. And that's a vital first down picked up by Mack. He gets to the 50. The clock is down to 1:45.
The sound you heard was Dennis Smith colliding with Mack.
All right, first down at the 50. 2 timeouts remaining. Kosar to Slaughter, and he drops the football. He drops it at the 37-yard line. He was hit by Kip Corrington. As the Browns move down for what they hope will be a game-winning field goal attempt, their field goal kicker, Jerry Corrick, the guy who took over for Matt Barr and won the job in preseason, hasn't even tried a field goal since opening day. There he is, the import from Canada, where he was a star in the CFL.
He was 2 out of 3 on opening day, and the 3 games since only tried an extra point, and that was only in a couple of them.
2nd and 10. Kosar, and Mack fell down as the ball got there. It wouldn't have been much of a gain anyway. Randy Robbins had him blanketed. 3rd and 10.
But the one thing that's happening here, and has really happened the majority of this game, is how Bud Carson's offensive line has played the best game they have played in a long time. Granted, Denver does not have the most stellar pass rush in the NFL, but still, they've protected Kosar.
Eric Metcalf is coming to the ball game, and this is what he was drafted for. 3rd long situation. Get him something where it's fairly high percentage you're going to get the football to him, and then let him do the rest on his own.
They sent 4 receivers out into this set. Keep Metcalf in the backfield with Kosar for the moment. And on 3rd and 10, here's Langhorne making the catch at the 30-yard line. He got position on Montgomery and a 20-yard gain. Well, so now they're looking at a 47-yard field goal if they don't pick up another yard.
Yep, the 30-yard line is that magical figure that you try to get to when you need a field goal. Keep in mind, still 2 timeouts.
Here's Metcalf, and he takes it down to the 26-yard line. So now you're looking at a 43-yard field goal.
And, of course, here in Denver, where the air is a little lighter, it's called the Mile High City, that ball will travel much further.
Timeout Cleveland. They have 1 remaining.
Boy, there is the beauty of having those 2 timeouts. Still 1 to stop it if they need to attempt the field goal.
Chrysler Fifth Avenue, Imperial, and New Yorker Salon are all engineered with ABS brakes, so you're safer when you drive. With our hands-free visor phone, you're safer making a call. Our remote entry system means you're safer at night. And our driver's airbag means you're safer in an accident. Chrysler Safety, because the most important thing that goes into our cars is you.
Now get cashback savings or low APR financing on new 91 models.
53 seconds, 1 timeout remaining for Cleveland. They're down by 2. It is 2nd down and 6. Kosar is over 300 yards tonight and hasn't been sacked. Here's Mack. They're going to play this conservatively, but almost too conservatively. That's a terrible play for a loss of a couple to the 28-yard line.
Yeah, now they're back. Losing a couple of yards here puts a lot more pressure on this guy. I thought it was interesting there in 2nd and 6 that the Browns went into the shotgun formation rather than going into their big back deal. Bernie's going to go into the shotgun again.
3rd down, 7 from the 24-yard line. Kosar throws. The catch is made by Brian Brennan, and he takes the ball down to the 13-yard line. And now the Browns will use their final timeout, and it's up to Jerry Korek. On Steelers, Korek was wide right from 40 and then kicked a 28-yarder and a 47-yarder. He has not even attempted a field goal in the last 3 games.
And how about that play right there? How about that third down pass from Bernie Kosar to Brian Brennan? Hey, that was a big-time play. And again, I don't want to oversell this thing, but again, Cleveland's offensive line gave Bernie the look and the time that he needed. This has maybe been the most maligned offensive line in the NFL, and they played a great game tonight.
Great effort by Brennan. Pass he had to reach for. Came down with it, and Dan Reeves says the wheels have come off.
Well, it comes down to what has killed Cleveland.
Another one-point game.
Their special teams. Another one-point game for Denver. Last time we were here 3 weeks ago, Treadwell kicked the field goal to win it for Denver.
Korek will get to think about it a little more as Denver calls timeout.
Yep.
Yeah.
The lump will get a little larger.
Check this out.
Korek is used to some pressure because that's the equivalent of the Super Bowl in Canada. He was born in Windsor, Ontario, which is right across the river from Detroit. And again, Matt Barr had been doing the kicking, and Korek and Barr went head-to-head in preseason, and Korek won the job, and Barr is now with the Giants.
Korek doing his very best to keep from hyperventilating. This
just falling flat on his face.
Yep. Few teams need a win as bad as the Cleveland Browns and Bud Carson.
Tam to snap, Pagel to hold. Win or lose here from 30. Cleveland wins it. Whew. What a game.
What a game for Bud Carson. So much pressure.
Well, thank God suicide isn't an option.
And they win in Denver.
The Cleveland Browns, who beat the Denver Broncos during the regular season last year and then lost in the AFC Championship game, never, I think, appreciated a win over the Broncos more than this one tonight.
And again, the Broncos leading at the half, lose one in the second half.
And the Broncos, who got a lot of help from Buffalo last night in beating the Raiders, doesn't follow through by doing their fair share. They go ahead and lose tonight, now drop to what, 2-3?
2-3. And in the last 4 weeks, they played 3 one-point games and an overtime game. Jerry Korek.
That might have even been better than the Grey Cup.
And Bud Carson being embraced by his assistants on the sidelines
for a change.
And harried. We visited with him last night. He was a little bit of a wreck last night, but he has pulled one off.
We'll see Cleveland in a couple of weeks against Cincinnati. It'll be a happy ride home after the disaster in Kansas City. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deardorff. See you next Monday from Philly.
Saturday, it's